to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
It is a Friday, and it is another beautiful day here in Seattle, and we have some fun teams to talk about. The Seahawks have 11 new drafted rookies and a bunch of incoming guys for rookie minicamp this weekend. Mariners are on a hot streak, 7 consecutive series wins, about to open up a series against a struggling Rangers team on the road. First pitch at 5:05 p.m. today. Brian Wu on the mound. There is a lot of good happening in Seattle, including just like beautiful weather. Now, I think the weather might change a little this weekend, but that's okay.
Tomorrow it's going down.
But that's okay, because hopefully the Mariners winning and in an exciting Seahawks offseason do not change. We're going to start with the Seahawks. We are going to get to the Mariners a little bit later. Mike Macdonald and John Schneider have talked about the vision for this team. What I'd love to do in the open today, Bump, is figure out what we think the vision is, because they're not going to lay it out. They're going to give us bits and pieces, but those are private conversations that they're having about the direction they want to move in and how they envision these roles for these guys. So we're going to start with Mike Macdonald. This is what he had to say about having a clear vision.
We have a very clear vision about what we're trying to create and what it takes to get to that point. And it's not just me, sitting there saying this. It's everybody. I think all the coaches. We have a great alignment in how we want to go about our business. And again, we've done it before. Together, and we've gone through that feedback loop already. And just talking to one of our players about an hour ago, and he knows who we're talking about. But like they know there's a reason behind what we're doing and why and what we're trying to chase, and it's not some big secret on what day in day out looks like, and we can get that message spread across the guys so we can hit the ground running.
The Seahawks obviously are chasing a Super Bowl, as is every other team in the NFL. But Bump, how do we think they want to do that? What do we think their vision is when it comes to who they want to be?
The vision is, at least offensively, the vision is, okay, let's take care of the trenches and let's be able to run the football, right? It's simple as that. I think we've heard that for the last couple of years. Last year, there were glimpses of it. We thought, okay, maybe they figured something out. That counter is looking real good. Zach Charbonnet is getting downhill, and then you kind of get away from it. So I think offensively, it's starting with the trenches. You have to make sure you got a quarterback. You went along and got that. But it's about the bigs, and it's about the running backs and the scheme that allows the bigs and the running backs to have that type of success. Defensively, it's multiple. Defensively, you got to be able to get into an odd, get into an even. When you have that, you run that 3-4 defense, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. You can. It's on paper it's an odd, but you can make it an even too, right? Because you have guys like Boye Mafe and Welso who can walk down to the line of scrimmage, put their hand in the dirt, or being a 2-point and play that numbers game with the box. So defensively, it's about being multiple. It's about allowing Mike Macdonald to call a game that he wants to call with the blitz package that he has, with the coverage. It's being able to handle any type of offense, and I think they have the personnel to do that right now. So it's simple when I lay it out there, but then it gets more intricate and complicated week by week, game by game when you start matching things up.
Okay, so we're going to start breaking down not game by game, obviously, but maybe what we think their vision might be for certain position groups or players. I also am just going to agree up front. I think that we can look at the moves that they have and haven't made to figure out how they want to win. If this team wanted to win a Super Bowl by being a pass-heavy offense, they wouldn't have dealt Geno. They would have said, Geno, I know you've requested a trade, but we don't want to trade you. What number is going to make you happy? They would have done the same thing with DK, right? They would have, if they felt like they had a recipe to win a Super Bowl 2 years ago, a lot of those pieces would still be here. They're not. So this is a team that clearly wants to win a Super Bowl in a particular way and with a particular style and flavor. As far as the individual position groups and pieces, my mind is, I know we so often talk about the offensive line, but I'm going to pair it up with the running backs. I think that these running backs, I'll say these 4 guys that they have, and we'll include Robbie Oots, the fullback, are going to be a massive part of what they want to do right. It obviously comes down to the offensive line, but you have to start there, looking at like their vision for the team has to be as at least 2 of these guys getting pretty heavy time, right?
Yeah, and to start off, it has to be K9 and Zach Charbonnet because they've earned it. But the acquisition of, or the draft in Damian Martinez, or Martinez, as our guy Rob says, put some pressure on everybody. And how do you make these guys or allow these guys to be dynamic, right? You have to, and that's what I like about the zone scheme is that that's what it allows, right? You are pressing a gap. You are going to the right side. You are looking to get outside. But with the zone, it's still a downhill type of run to where the backers are accounted for, and there's a lot of movement there. But now you press the B and you're looking for gaps. That's where these running backs can kind of be creative. When you're running a trap, right, you're blocking down on the one tick, you're pulling the guard. The running back knows I got to hit the A gap. If you're running a counter, right, the right side is blocking down, you're pulling the right guard and the left guard, kicking out the end, getting on the backer. The running back knows, okay, I got to get to the B to the C and follow these bigs, which I love those concepts as well. But the zone allows some creativity. It allows them to be patient and to push it to the right, look for the cutback. So if you can get these running backs, because they're all explosive, right? Even Kenny McIntosh, a guy that we haven't seen much of, we know that he has a burst. He can get into open field. A guy like Damian Martinez, he did it on the college level. We'll see what happens there. Le'Veon Bell type of style for me. And then K9 has been one of the most explosive running backs in the game other than Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley when you look at his big plays the last 2 seasons. So it's about allowing these guys to be creative, but also giving the run concept a chance to work. And that is just pressing the B, pressing the B, pressing the B. And when you see something, you go ahead and get it. But I think they have 4 different kind of backs, and I think they're all capable of making some plays. And also what I like about this room is that you're going to save some miles, man. You don't have to run K9 25, 30 times, but if he's in the groove and he's feeling it, you have the ability to do that. But you do have Zach Charbonnet, Damian Martinez, and did I say Charbonnet yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, boom, those guys.
And Walker.
And Walker.
So
K9,
obviously, yeah. Certainly the wide receiver room, in addition, tells me about how they want to win. They got a lot of question marks there. Like JSN is heading in as your leading receiver, your number 1 guy. You brought in Cooper Kupp, MVS, older veterans. Cooper Kupp obviously has been a Triple Crown winner, but when we initially saw him signed here, you went through those stats, and it's like more often than not, he's not putting up that kind of crazy yardage. He's just super reliable and obviously great at what he does. I don't know what kind of season people are expecting out of him, but when I look at the wide receiver group as a whole, I see still question marks, uncertainty, and it makes me wonder about how Clint Kubiak might want to utilize this offense. Like, this is not, I think, in their ideal world, going to be a pass-heavy offense.
No, I don't think it is. I think there will be games where they have to be.
Sure. Because
once the film is out there, teams are going to do things to combat whatever you're trying to accomplish. But, no, I think you're right. This group is a group of potential, but you're just not sure yet, right? Can Jackson Smith and Jigba build off of what he did last year, not having a DK Metcalf to the right side of him or left side? Can Cooper Kupp tap into some of the greatness that we saw a few years ago? Doesn't need to, but still needs to be a dynamic guy. Valdez-Scantling, we know that he's one of the better deep ball players in the game. Can you continue to be that? And then you draft these young guys. You got Torrey Horton, who's coming off the ACL. What's that going to be like? Ricky White, who's UNLV's most prolific pass catcher of all time, a special teams guy as well. Is your game going to translate? And then you bring over River Cracraft, go Cougs, who's been in the league sneaky 6-7 years, playing with Miami, not a lot of receptions. And then you have Drake Young, who's been good on special teams. Bobo, they're so young, and with a couple of veterans in there as well. So the inexperience is kind of what has you scratching your head a little bit just to see what they're going to do. But it all comes down to JSN. Like, how are you going to use him? Can he take another step forward and kind of work off of Cooper Kupp and MVS? And who knows, man, by the end of the season, Horton might be in the spot that MVS is in. Who knows? That's the spot there that I'm really looking forward to seeing who develops as that third guy, because there's a lot of potential between MVS, Horton, Ricky White, and I'm going to throw in, obviously, Boba as well. He's here for a reason.
Obviously, the defense is going to be leading this team in terms of where they are to start the season. The defense ended as a unit that we'd have certainly top 15, in a couple categories top 10. And we're both looking at is going, well, where do you take the next step forward? Like, you've got so many questions answered on defense. And not only that, but you've got guys that are Pro Bowlers, like Witherspoon, or should have been Pro Bowlers, like Big Cat Leo Williams, right? Like, you've got a couple guys where you go, okay, you have questions answered here, and that's great. That being said, it's been a while since I've seen a Super Bowl winning team be like, oh, defense won them this championship, and then offense was a question mark. I know that we have that whole defense wins championships, but that's because you clearly need a good defense in order to keep things moving. And it's okay for the defense to be a strength, but you need those questions answered on offense eventually. I don't think that part of this vision that Mike Macdonald has is, yeah, the offense just has to be okay, and then the defense will get the job done. No, something tells me the vision is we want to be a complete team that's very physical.
You got to be. You look at the teams who have won over the past few years. The Eagles last year was probably one of the most complete teams we've seen in a long time. Kansas City the year before that, we praised the defense and how they kept them in the game. You just let Pat Mahomes do his thing. You go back a couple more years, man, in 2021, Tampa Bay, when Tom Brady was leading the charge. That offense was prolific, but you tip your cap to that defense as well. I think defense has to be the strength of this team because you have a defensive head coach, and that's what he does. When you look at a team, you look at the best teams over the past few years, right? The Eagles. Look at, I'll start with the Chiefs. Look at the Chiefs. Andy Reid. Yeah, we talk about their defense, but we know how prolific that offense is, right? He's the head coach there. So here it's like, all right, since Mike Macdonald is the guy, since Mike Macdonald had one of the best seasons we've seen out of a defense in a long time with Baltimore, you expect the defense to be further ahead and to be well-equipped to handle anything. And then you let the offense come along. They can't be mediocre. They can't just be surviving. But because Mike is the head coach, you just expect the defense to hit the ground running. And typically that's what happens anyway in training camp. No disrespect to defenses, but sometimes it's a bit more simple to make a defensive call than it is on offense just because of pass protection, alignment, your motioning, the timing of things. Defense is so reactive that you can just line guys up and be in some basic stuff. Basic cover two, fire blitz. You go get the quarterback, everyone drops into cover two, and it's more of a film. So you expect the defense to lead the charge. But last year, it was weird because we expected the defense to hit the charge. The offense comes out hot. 3-0 start. You're putting up 25, 30 points. And then the defense comes around after they make some adjustments. So what is this year going to be like? I don't know. But I would expect with Mike Macdonald being in his second year as the guy here, making all the adjustments that he's made, he's more comfortable being aggressive and calling the game with this personnel than he was last year.
Again, Mike Macdonald saying the Seahawks have a clear vision. What do we think the vision is? We've talked about how we think they might utilize their running backs and how clearly the run game is a big part of that vision, how they want to be a balanced team, not because they want to, but because you have to. You can't win with only being good on one side of the ball.
Right.
We all know that. We've talked about the defense being part of the identity and how to kind of make that overlap a little bit with your offense and what you're able to do offensively. Let's talk about timeline. In Mike Macdonald and John Schneider's vision of what they want, I don't know that means Super Bowl this year, but I bet internally they're having discussions about like the stages of development for this team.
Yeah, well, listen, you have to preach championship when you walk into that building. When the rookies show up, when today they start rookie minicamp, when you get into OTAs, when you start training camp, that has to be the message. Win the division and let's strive for a Super Bowl. But I think internally, these guys know that lots of things have to happen for this team to really be considered contenders. It's about taking the right step. Somebody got on my head. I forgot who it was, many texters last week or the week before when I'm talking about, look, 9 or 10 wins, I think is a good year. Like, so just repeat what they did last year. And I go, no, you can have 9 or 10 wins, but we're seeing improvement in certain places. And 9 or 10 wins, you control what you can control. There are other teams who are further ahead, who we know are going to be in the mix when it's all said and done. Going into this season, we feel like the Rams are going to be in the mix. We feel like the Eagles are going to be in the mix. Detroit Lions, Green Bay. Like, there are 4 or 5 teams in every conference that you feel are going to be there. You can't control what they do. One team might come out, win 12, 13, 14 games, and push you out of the playoffs again. So be it. Are you getting better in the run? Are you getting better in the red zone? And we're going to have a segment later talking about stats that are important to us or important to this team. But they can win 9 or 10 games, and the run game looks good, and K9 is starting to figure this thing out. Win 9 or 10 games, and Sam Darnold tossed 30 touchdowns, and you feel like, okay, he's back for this next year. Let's build off of this. So that's the way you have to think about it. Understand the fans' perspective, and they're saying it's the same exact season. Don't let the record fool you, man. They could lose one more game next year and still look better in other places. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and I think that this year the goal is to compete for the division, and anything else is extra. Getting to the playoffs will be awesome.
Well, and I think, to your point, a really good way to challenge that is to say the Seahawks were 10-7 last season. Did it feel like a really good season?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's all right.
Does a 10-win did the season that the Seahawks unexpectedly had in 2022, which was only 9 wins, feel like a more exciting or better season, or did they feel like they accomplished more? I liked the conversation because it was can a 10-win season one year feel different than the next depending on what you do? Like, I saw so many complaints about it. I've never seen so many complaints about a 10-win season in my entire life.
Right.
First-year head coach gets a 10-win season, first time that's happened in franchise history. And I have been just as critical as everyone else. Obviously, you look at the Giants game, you look at moments like that, and you go, oh, come on, you're kidding me. But I think that you could have the exact same record, I agree with you, at the end of next year. And if I felt like I was leaving the year going, not only, did, let's say, the Seahawks don't make the playoffs, maybe they do it because once again you have an NFC North and maybe contenders from the East that are just absolutely dominant. But maybe I know who they are. Maybe more often than not, I was watching these games going, I know how they want to win and they can win that way. I didn't feel that last year. I don't know this team's identity on offense.
Yeah.
They want to run the ball, but Gino was like the fourth most pass-heavy quarterback. They passed the ball a ton.
Yeah.
They didn't know who they wanted to be. They couldn't be who they wanted to be. Their offensive philosophy from their offensive coordinator was clearly not compatible with the one from their head coach.
That's
there
what's
were
scary.
problems.
That's what's scary about, not scary, but I was on the risk with bringing in an offensive coordinator who hasn't spent any time in the NFL. I think sometimes it works, making the jump from college to the NFL, and then sometimes it shows up in, all right, well, this is the way the game is played here. You got to be able to adjust. So, yeah, but he's got himself a veteran now, a guy who's been in this league for a while, Kubiak, and should be more equipped when it comes to making these adjustments or just being stubborn sometimes with the run.
Bump mentioned the offensive and defensive stats that matter the most. We're going to talk about that at 10:45. Coming up at 10:31, MLB expert thinks the AL West is the Mariners to lose right now. Headline rewrites.
Extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, the Mariners start a 6-game road trip tonight, beginning with the series against the Texas Rangers. What's the real headline?
Let's hope that they packed bubble wrap because we can't lose Brian Wu, too.
Man, we need security with Wu at all times.
He's always been a model of health. He's always been your most durable starting pitcher.
Handrails everywhere. Like, we need to make sure he's careful going downstairs.
He doesn't even reach for anything. You just get an assistant. No, Brian, we got it for you.
We got you. So you got Wu on the mound. We see Castillo and then Evans in this series right here. The M's haven't won the first game of a 3 or 4 game series in a long time. Since like April 11th or something like that. Texas hasn't won a series since April 17th against the Angels, I believe. And Texas has a mediocre offense right now. And make them look mediocre, right? We don't want to have a game or series where they figure something out and go crazy. So just be the team that you've been. It's hard. It's a hard ask because they've been something that we're not used to seeing. But go get it, man. Listen, just keep winning the series. We figured out the formula yesterday. If you win every series, you're a good ball club. Simple as that. Just win every series.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number two, big news out of the NBA today. Legendary Spurs head coach Greg Popovich is stepping down from coaching and will become San Antonio's president of basketball operations. What's the real headline?
No pressure on the next guy.
Man, you following that guy. That's like following Nick Saban. He has 1,422 wins, 869 losses, 170 playoffs win. That's the most by any coach of one team, second most all time behind. Guess who? Phil Jackson. 3-time coach of the year, was a gold medalist as a coach, Team USA. 303 coaching changes have happened since Pop was the head coach, 5-time NBA champion, and I call him the father of the half-court offense. Me being a Laker fan, the Spurs used to torment us year in and year out with that half-court offense. The chemistry was crazy. Ginobili to Tony Parker to Tim Duncan, throwing Steven Jackson, Bruce Bowen over there as well. I hated the Spurs growing up and appreciated them at the same time. This is the big one, and Curtis and I were talking about coaches with NBA coaches just with presence on the sideline. There's very few. We came up with Pop. We had Phil Jackson, of course, Larry Brown. Who else do we have in there?
Jerry Sloan was in there.
Rest in peace. It's
Pat
just
Riley.
Pat Riley. It's just hard because the NBA players have so much influence on the game and the coaches. Coaches just blend in now. Like I saw the coach for who was it? Who played last night? The Clippers and
Nuggets.
And the Nuggets. I saw the coach for the Nuggets. I'm like, who is that guy? He looks like an intern.
Is it because they're wearing quarter zips now?
Yeah,
they don't wear suits anymore.
They just don't stand out or have that authority that Pop used to have. This is me turning 40, appreciating the old heads who were in this league.
Also had a couple guys replaced pretty late into the season, including for some teams that were on the verge of making the playoffs. I feel like the context into which a new head coach takes over for a legend is also really important. Sometimes you take over for a guy and it's a bad situation and it feels like no matter what, you're going to fail. You're never going to meet the expectations that he was able to set for people, in part because of the weapons you inherited. However, is that the case with the Spurs? They feel like they might be set up for success.
Set up for success in 2 to 3 years. I mean, you got Wembley over there. You have a centerpiece. And whenever you have a freaking avatar who can handle the rock, shoot threes, and dunks on folks, that's a good place to start, especially with the way the NBA's played now. It's not a very physical game. I can see him putting on 10, 15 pounds this offseason and starting to look like the Greek Freak, but with more handles and a better shot.
Every time, for some reason, I type in YouTube on my computer, for some reason, the link it always goes to when I click enter, because it autofills, is the video of Wemby's guard pushing Britney Spears away when Britney Spears was trying to walk up to Wemby. I swear to every single time I go to YouTube, every single day to pull some kind of video or look up something for the show, I see that video. I've seen that video 400 times. It's not funny. It's just, it's how I start my day, and it's the weirdest thing.
Well, speaking of weird, the dad of Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton, John Halliburton, has agreed to stay away from the team after getting into it with Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo earlier this week. What's the real headline?
A devastating blow for helicopter parents everywhere.
Man, he agreed to stay away from the team. You have no choice. You're that 22-year-old boy or girl who gets an X on their hand at the club, at the bar, because you've had a little too much. And you even get it. You know the guys who get X'd off and they throw their hands up like, I get it. All right, I'm done.
Or
I'm
like
done.
someone going up to like this like absolute 10 and they're like, we both agreed not to date each other.
Like, no Sherlock is what my dad used to say all the time. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you need to be invisible for the rest of the playoffs, man. You get your courtside pass revoked. You embarrassed your son. You embarrass yourself. People do make mistakes. I get it, but there's no way that you would be allowed anywhere near the court anymore. Just be quiet.
Something that we were talking about during a commercial break, and this was yesterday, and it wasn't as a result of this story, but I just don't remember if you were in here. I think you were. Remember when I said, we get weird stories like this once in a while, but I cannot think of the weird stories that used to happen in the 90s. So like Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan, I can't think of a sports story recently that's touched the weirdness and chaos and just insanity of a story like that. I feel like sports used to be crazier in the 90s. That's what I'm saying. They really did used to be crazier.
It was. I was just talking about, who was I talking to yesterday? Just about all the things you could get away with in the 90s and the 80s. Just because of technology. You're not getting away with nothing now. And I think that's why we've seen those crazy stories. Is kind of because they really thought they can get away with that. The Nancy Kerrigan's whole situation, they thought in their mind, boom, pop, hit the ankle, bam, we out of there. No one's going to see us. But
just pop, bam, we're gone.
We gone. That just don't happen no more, man. Cameras everywhere. Big Brother is always watching.
One MLB expert thinks the AL West is the Mariners to lose. That's next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Nick Ebenwari is with us. Nick, how are you, man?
Super blessed, super grateful, but yeah, I feel like I should have gone a little sooner, but I landed in the right spot ultimately. Had a great connection with them, so I'm glad I ended up going to the Seahawks. But in my notes, in my phone, like I kind of had like an NFL, it's personal list, so like it's a funny thing I for myself.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Eastside Bavarian reminds parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Please make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, text behind the wheel, or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or rideshare for a safe ride home. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Eastside Bavarian, Western Washington's premier independent German car service specialist, online at eastsidebavarian.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit VividSeats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
The playoffs are in full swing, and you can get in on all the action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest game-changing moments to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code JOEQ. That's JOEQ to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on Green Bay's team. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-973-6622. That's 800-973-6622. Again, 800-973-6622.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
The American Band, the legendary Grand Funk Railroad, is rolling into Muckleshoot Event Center Wednesday, August 6th, with special guest Jefferson Starship. Don't miss this night of classic rock that defined a generation. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com. Grand Funk Railroad with special guest Jefferson Starship. Only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Eric Johnson here. I covered a lot of accidents over the past 30 years or so, but I never got to say much about what to do after a crash. Be honest, do you know what evidence to collect, what pictures to take, what documents to request, or what you shouldn't say to your insurance company? The Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the roads throw at them. Know your rights and how to avoid common mistakes after an accident by getting your free copy at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
One MLB expert thinks the AL West is the Mariners to lose. That expert would be John Morosi. We've got really good stuff from John Morosi today. We've got Buster Olney of ESPN joining us later in the show, and something I'm sure really exciting to come from that interview. Just I love both of these guys, and both of them are, I don't want to say high on the Mariners so much as they are low on the American League, and therefore very optimistic about the Mariners' chances to actually get some really exciting things done here. Let's go to John Morosi there talking about the Mariners' offensive approach this year.
The offensive approach, I believe, has been better. And even if you improve your efficiency or effectiveness in two-strike counts or by running the bases, going first to third more often by 5 to 10%, that's going to make a hugely meaningful impact on the standings. I think we're seeing that so far. And I think all things considered, think about all the years we've gone back and had conversations. This is about as good as I have felt about a Mariner team at the end of April that I can recall in the last several years.
Now, Bump, this was a Mariners team that was pretty solid heading into May last year. So, unfortunately, we have recent examples. The year that they had Jay Bruce here when they were, Curtis, were they 13-2 or 13-3 to start the season? I can't even remember what season that was, but it was
2019.
What a start to the year it was. And then it all,
never lose.
And then it all crashed down. However, do you feel like John Morosi, a bit different, maybe a bit more optimistic about this start, despite us having seen a version of it before?
Do I feel what?
Like just more optimistic, where you're like, I feel pretty solid about them.
No.
No?
I don't. And the reason why I don't is because of the injuries that we're seeing. I'm going to live in the moment. I'm going to take them for who they are right now because that's the only thing you can do. But I'm looking at Logan. I'm looking at Kirby. I'm looking at Brash. Santos hasn't. I mean, he's been sent down. He's injured too. I think he just got. They found an injury in him as well. And now I'm looking at Ben Williamson. Can you continue to do your thing? Rowdy, you've had a couple moments, but not really consistent. Rivas, okay, good 2 or 3 games you put together. Can I see it? It's because we have guys on the roster and in the lineup that haven't proven they can do it consistently. Like it's so bad. I'm so shell shocked that I'm even looking at Polanco. Like, you sure this is you, dog? Like, you sure?
Definitely not.
Like, look, all the numbers say you are in your zone right now, and your past numbers say that you're not going to play up to this level, but if you do play up to your baseball card, you should be fine. But no, I don't because I know what's ahead of them. You got the Rangers coming up. You got a 6-game road trip here, and you come back home. You play the Yankees. I just need to see more. And the longer that Julio doesn't look like a star, the more I struggle just a little bit to buy in. He's getting better slowly, and I think we shouldn't just gloss over that. He is getting better slowly, but I need to see more, man. So, I'm glad. I'm happy they're playing good ball, but they have more injuries than they've had in a while, and it's just some young bucks and some unknowns, really, that we're counting on to fill voids.
Okay. Hear me out. I think there's a slight difference in how they're winning through the first month of the season this year than how they're winning through the first month of the season last year. Coincidentally, I'm actually also going to use a stat that you brought up yesterday. So you've already introduced one of these, which was that they are near the bottom of the league in extra base hits.
Yeah.
So you said they are getting more singles or they're hitting home runs. So they're getting guys on base or they're walking or doing other things, and then they're driving everyone in. So that is one difference. Another difference, they were second in the league in strikeouts last year through April. They are 8th this year.
Mo better.
Last year, they were 8th in the league in walks. They are 1st or 2nd this year.
Mo better.
So they're getting on base, striking out less. They're still striking out too much. And the pitching is not nearly as good, right? Like as a whole team, you have some different, like last year I wasn't concerned. I didn't have a giant concern about pitching through the first month of the season where I do this year. But I do think that there is, as early in the season as it is right now, something to be said about the way that they're winning, putting pressure on pitchers.
Yeah. And like I said, you can't ignore what they've done. But who do they want to be coming into the season? A team with a great rotation, knock on wood, hopefully you stay healthy. That hasn't happened. A team that is going to put the ball in play, which they've done kinda. They're hitting singles, you know what I'm saying? Singles and bombs and walks. I understand that. You want to cut down on the strikeouts for sure. But the foundation of this team is the pitching. And that is what scares me the most, is that you're not having the luck you had a few years ago. So the offense is going to have to step up, and which they have. They're one of the best offensive teams in the game right now. I was looking at their slugging, their on base, their power numbers, and they're right up in the top third in a lot of these categories. But is this who they really are? You know, we're how many games in? We're at the start of May. Is this who you can be throughout the rest of the season? Because it's who you need to be, especially with the injuries to the rotation. So that's the way I live my life, man. Like I'll cut a deal in my business, and it can be lucrative, and we're making plans for the future. Until that money hits the bank account, I'm like, I don't know, man. Let's just wait and see. I believe it when I see it. So until we get to July or something like that,
sure.
I'm like, all right, this is who they are. But I also never want to overlook what they're doing, because what they're doing right now is fun. What they're doing is conducive to a whole bunch of wins, but I just know who they want it to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it's like when my child does something on the basketball court or soccer field, when I'm like, you don't never do that. That was dope. All right, can you do it again? Can that be part of who you are?
If they can continue their success or find some consistency, John Morosi thinks that this is a very, very winnable division.
I've been impressed at the way that they have kept this group united. You look at the American League West right now, and I know it's hard to say this on the 1st of May, but here among friends, it's the Mariners' division to lose. I really believe that, and certainly there are some concerns there with the pitching staff, injury-related. I get that. But when you look at the totality of what they've been able to do, and still the ways in which I believe this group can get stronger as the year goes along, they've got an A-level closer. The bullpen has been stable.
Feels like the AL West is going to be the Mariners to lose. Not only that, but the AL just kind of down this year. It's very weird. Even the very best teams record-wise, or you look at the Yankees with 10 home runs from Aaron Judge, and he's having an amazing month, they still have question marks. So I know that everyone's sitting here going, well, just wait for it. The Mariners are going to fall off eventually. But this is not the AL West or the American League that we were talking about in some previous seasons.
No, it's different. And I think that's an important factor, too, is you look at what's going on around you. And there was a reason why last year they had a 10-game lead in their division, because they were playing some decent ball, and everything else around them was just falling apart. Then all of a sudden, we're waiting for the Astros to go on their run, right? And they do exactly that. They go on the run. We're waiting for the Rangers to get hot again. They do exactly that. They go on their run. So it's a combination of what they've been doing and what's happening around them. And with the Mariners, they're the type of team that's going to need some help to get into the playoffs. They're not a dominant team that's going to take care of their own destiny like my Dodgers or the Yankees. No, this is not how they're built. They're built to be competitive, to go on these runs, but you're going to need some of your opponents to stumble a little bit, which is something we can hope for.
Yeah.
Them, you just control what you can control.
I think that, again, it's so hard to compare a month to a full season. It just feels like the dumbest waste of time, but it's all we have, and we're not going to not talk about the Mariners until it's, Labor Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend. I hope we don't wait until Labor Day weekend to talk about the Mariners. But I do think you're seeing more base runners in general, more walks, fewer strikeouts. If that version of them is sustainable, that feels more real than whatever they built with a 10-game lead last season.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was a team that was still deeply flawed in some pretty important categories. They just kind of stacked wins.
Yeah.
In the weirdest way.
Some close ones.
But man, did a 10-game lead ever not feel like wholly safe. And they lost it the fastest we've ever seen a 10-game lead lost in 24 days.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
It was, someone texted in, I have 10-game lead PTSD. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I totally do. And you're not going to hear us saying the Mariners are going to win the division on May 2nd. But you will hear us saying, hey, this baseball expert thinks that the Mariners can win the AL West based on some of what he's seen so far and some of what he knows to be true about the pitching when it's healthy.
You know what's crazy about MLB analysts and experts is that they are probably wrong the most because the season is so long.
Because they have to have takes in April.
And it's like, and you have to go out there and go off of what you see and what you believe. But because the season is so dang long, I mean, passing was loving the Crew a year ago, and then kind of fell off. He was hating the Crew a couple years ago, and they did their thing. It's just so hard to be right in this thing unless you're talking about the teams that go out and have Shohei and have Teo and have Kiki and have all these guys. It's so hard to be right throughout the whole year with baseball. So big ups to those guys.
You know what's never really wrong though, Bump? Numbers don't lie. We're going to look at the stats that matter when it comes to the Seahawks next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Nick Ebenwari is with us. Nick, how are you, man?
Super blessed, super grateful, but I feel like I should have gone a little sooner, but I landed in the right spot ultimately. Had a great connection with them, so I'm glad I ended up going to the Seahawks. But in my notes, in my phone, like I kind of had like the NFL, it's personal list, so like that's a funny thing I for myself.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, what's up? It's Michael Bumpus for Silver Reef Casino. The weather is great, and you should do something like I did a couple weeks ago. I got on I-5. I went north. I got off on exit 260. Where's that? Silver Reef Casino. That's where it's located. I got to the casino. I checked in. I go to the deluxe room. It has great views, Wi-Fi, iPad, and all that good stuff. When I was done, I was settled in. I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat. I go downstairs to the steakhouse, have me a nice steak, and then I walk by the new cantina to check it out. Brand new over there if you're looking for some Mexican vibe. When I'm done, I go to Porter's Bay Sports Bar. I sit down, have me a nice beverage, and just watch the games. They're everywhere. Baseball, soccer, UFL, whatever you need, it's going to be there. And like today, the weather's good, so I'm going to go out to Loomis Trails Golf Course and shoot my low. 75, here I come. If I can't do that, I'm going to hit the range and visit their historic clubhouse. If you're getting FOMO, don't worry about it. I got you covered. Visit silverreefcasino.com to book your stay today. They got something for everybody. Visit silverreefcasino.com.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Hi, this is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. Spring has sprung. Need color to brighten up your yard or privacy trees to keep your neighbors guessing? Now is the time to buy. With hundreds of trees arriving in the nursery daily, Big Trees has the perfect tree for you. Check out our updated inventory list online at bigtreesupply.com or come visit the nursery today.
When you have really good leaders, it makes it easy.
Gia arrived at Lee Johnson after 10 years at another dealership.
You know your job, but then you have people who you can rely on to help you with the big stuff that, you need that support from. And I've gotten that every day with my service manager, with our assistant service manager, with even like our GM and our GSM. The way that, we're now on the showroom together, we are so close-knit just as a department. My service manager here, he's always open to like teach you whatever you want to know. He just wants everybody to do good around him, and if somebody wants to learn something, I'm here to do it. And I've never had a service manager like that before. They're really good at promoting from within. That's one thing that I've learned from working here. I see people start out as like a lot porter, and people like work their way all the way up to being a general manager.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy
weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Back-to-back football here. Fox Sports NFC West reporter Eric Williams joining us in 15 minutes. Before we get to it, let's talk about the stats that matter when it comes to the Seahawks. We're going to go offense and defense. What stats put these guys into contention? What are we watching for? What's going to actually tell the true story of what this team does bump? You want to start offense?
Yeah, let's start with the offense. And the first stat I think that a lot of us should look at is third down conversion percentage. Last year, they were 21st converting 37% of the time. Converting 37% of the time. At the top were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, converting 51% of the time. Third downs is let you know, look, we're getting him third and manageable. And this could be third and Milrow, honestly. You're getting 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. That's when we have those Milrow packages. You put them out there. Obviously, Sam's going to be out there as well. But third down is a good indicator. It's saying we're getting third and manageable, and we're getting drives going. We got these 9, 10, 11 play drives that you need. Sometimes they're going to be explosive drives. We have 2 or 3 plays and a big play. Hopefully that happens as well. But third down, a big indicator that your offense is rolling and you're putting yourself in manageable situations.
Yeah, I think that would be like my clear number one. It's also where this team has really, really struggled. I mean, look, this isn't a stat that's going to absolutely matter when it comes to contenders, because we've seen contenders that aren't excelling here. But what stat do I look at, or how might you look if you're looking to measure specifically if they improve in the run game? Would it be like how many third and longs? How many third down conversions with the run? Conversions on third and short?
I think it's conversions on. No, it's I would look at first down runs, like how many yards per game on first downs, because we assume that that's going to be the first punch thrown the majority of the time. Obviously, there's going to be times where you drop back and throw the football on first down. But to start the season, I'd say like the first 3 games, I'm looking at what second down looks like. So what are you gaining on first down when you run the football? What's your down the distance on second?
All right. Do you have another offensive?
I got a
stat?
couple.
Yeah. Let's go over those.
All right. So red zone, right? You got to score in the red zone. Last year they scored touchdowns 57% of the time. That's good enough for 14. The best team in the game were the Baltimore Ravens, and we probably know why. You got Big Derrick Henry over there. You got Lamar Jackson, but they converted 73% of the time they scored a touchdown in the red zone. That's a big ask. I'm not asking them to get up to 73. But
just 72.
If you can get up high 60s, close to 70s, I think you're in good position. What does that mean? That means that we're not turning the football over and having a pick 6 in the red zone for a touchdown to lose a game like Geno had last year, or 2 interceptions that game in the red zone. It means that we are efficient. And that's not just Geno. Right, Geno made a poor decision, got hit in the elbow with that pick 6. When we're talking about A.J. Barner, he threw that pick to him. He was clearly pulled. His momentum stopped, and then that allowed the throw to be there. But it's all connected. Like, A.J.'s got to be cleaner.
Yeah.
Geno has to see that, that defender is sitting there. There are things that you have to do in the red zone. You cannot turn the football over in the red zone. You need touchdowns. And the last one for the offense is turnover differential. All right, that means that you're taking the football away on defense. You're taking care of the football on offense. They were -6. That was good enough for 25th in the game. The best team in the game when it came to turnover differential were the Buffalo Bills, +24, first in the game. So for the offense, for me, it's third down conversion. It's scoring touchdowns in the red zone and turnover differential, taking care of the football.
Okay, the specific numbers, third down conversions, let's say like 40% would put you top 10, 42% would probably put you top 8, 46% and more, you'd be a top 5 team on third down conversion. So that's the numbers you're looking for. You don't want anything that starts with the 3. That's like middling to bad.
Yeah.
But if you've got a 4 in front of that, you're doing pretty solid. Red zone conversions for a touchdown, we've got 65, 68.
With the Hawks?
Yeah, no, the percentage we're wanting.
Oh, yeah,
that we're
yeah,
asking
65
for.
to 68, yeah.
65 68. Yeah. And then for the last one was the turnover ratio.
Yep.
Okay. And it's just like keep it positive. Plus, I don't know what the exact number would be. Keep it in the positive, please. All right, let's go to defense. The stats that matter for the Seahawks.
Obviously, defense, your goal is to not give up points, right? So let's go straight to points per game. Last year, they were 13th, giving up 21.6 per game, which isn't bad, especially their last 3. They gave up 18.3. Number 1 in the game, Philadelphia with 18.1 points per game. If you can get down to the teens, that's going to be awesome, right? There's only 4 teams in the game that were down to the teens. And considering some of the struggles the Hawks had throughout the season, the fact that they got it down to 21.6 is huge. At one point, it was mid to high 20s, the worst in the game for the Carolina Panthers with 31. So there's not a big jump between like a mediocre team, say the New York Jets with 23, to a bottom team around 25 to 27. But if you can get into the teens, that's going to be awesome. Another one is defensive yards per game. How many yards are you giving up? Last year, they were 17th with 332 yards per game. Number 1 was Philly with 288. And you look at 288 and 332 and think, man, that's not really a big distance in between. But that's at least 2 big plays. 2 plays over 20 yards that might result in a touchdown or not. So got to look at that. And then my last one, rush yards per game. We were looking at that one for years now. Last year, they gave up 120 yards per game. That was 16th. The best in the game were the Baltimore Ravens, giving up 80.9. But the last 3 games of the season, they gave up 89.3 yards per game. That was good enough for 5th or 6th during the last 3. So they show that they can do it. And some of these numbers are skewed because you start off so horribly and you get behind the 8 ball, and now you're fighting your life just to get those numbers down 3 or 4 yards per game. And towards the end of the season, we felt better about it. So real basic stats, but those are the ones I look at. Offense, third down conversions, red zones, turnover differential, defense, defensive, how many points you give up per game, yards per game, rush yards per game, and then I'll throw in third downs on defense as well.
All markers of fundamentally sound football. Throwing in some reactions from the text line, 866-979-3776, 253. Stats sound good, but neither Buffalo nor Baltimore went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because they're over there messing with Pat Mahomes, and they're in the conference championship game, and they have to play each other. And they're 2 of the best teams, so someone's got to knock somebody out.
Someone's got to go. I don't know what to tell you. But also, both of those teams, both of the teams that did go to the Super Bowl are also still near the top 10 or in the top 10 in most of these categories. You know what I mean? Like Philadelphia on red zone scoring in 2024 was still a top 10 team in red zone scoring. In addition, if you want to isolate, other stats, what you're going to find is that teams that went deep into the playoffs were really good at something. And you can't always predict what team from that pool is going to end up advancing because sometimes it comes down to a bad call. Weren't we just talking about a controversial non-first down call when it came to Josh Allen and that maybe the Bills are in the Super Bowl in another world? Did we not spend days after that championship game talking about whether or not there was bad refereeing at play? I think that you could argue that there was on that play, but that Kansas City fairly advanced or that the Ravens fairly advanced or whatever it is. The Bills advanced past them. But it gives you the best shot. The more fundamentally sound you are, the better your shot of getting to the playoffs. And if you are elite at something, really good at something, it gives you an even better shot to win there more often than not.
Yeah, you don't see a team giving up 31 points even thinking about sniffing the playoffs.
That's the thing.
You don't see a team giving up 27 points thinking about sniffing the playoffs. You're right. You have to be really good at something, mediocre to above average at some other stuff.
Yes, like the worst teams in third down conversion percentage: New England, Dallas, Giants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or excuse me, the worst with red zone scoring percentage: New England, Dallas, Giants. Like there is a strong correlation between you can't score in the red zone, you can't convert third down, and then you can't take advantage of like turnovers or anything like that and not winning.
Yeah.
So these are examples of teams that are doing it in a really good way. That doesn't mean they're guaranteed to win, but the Seahawks need to be better in all these areas. Bumps, those are excellent stats to be looking at because they're areas where the Seahawks have suffered and where I can promise you Mike Macdonald has circled
for sure
on whatever charts he's looking at the same stats that you're looking at.
Give yourself a chance.
Yeah. Taking a look at the NFC West with Fox Sports reporter Eric Williams next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Nick Ebenwari is with us. Nick, how are you, man?
Super blessed, super grateful, but yeah, I feel like I should have gone a little sooner, but I landed in the right spot ultimately. Had a great connection with them, so I'm glad I ended up going to the Seahawks. But in my notes, in my phone, like I kind of had like the NFL, it's personal list, so like that's a funny thing I for myself.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. Well, the seasons, they're changing. The guys are playing the sports outdoors. I know many are starting to maybe pull the lawnmower out and get back to the landscape and the outdoor work. I'm going to guess, Shannon, at IRG, maybe a little busier season?
Oh, absolutely, Brock. You know, we know when the seasons change, particularly when it gets warmer, people are in their houses pretty much all winter long with our cold weather, rain, et cetera, particularly here in the Puget Sound. And everybody's excited. They want to rush out and get going with their activity. I'm telling you, as a physical therapist for 35 years here, you need to prepare your body. So take time to warm up, increase some flexibility, do some stretches, because if you prepare your body and prevent injuries, those activities outside, particularly that exciting thing, mowing your lawn, is going to be healthier and it's going to be a lot more fun.
And you feel better. For more info or to book your appointment today, simply go to irgpt.com. It's all waiting for you right there at irgpt.com.
Lake Washington Windows and Doors makes it easy to enjoy new windows with clean glass technology now and defer paying for them until 2026 with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Visit lakewashingtonwindows.com.
What do you get when you assemble 400 new and used RVs with over 1,000 floor plan options, plus manufactured homes on 20 acres? You get the best chance to save all year. The Puyallup RV Show, May 1st through 4th. Free parking. Get tickets at PuyallupRVShow.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
Eric Johnson here. I covered a lot of accidents over the past 30 years or so, but I never got to say much about what to do after a crash. Be honest, do you know what evidence to collect, what pictures to take, what documents to request, or what you shouldn't say to your insurance company? The Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the roads throw at them. Know your rights and how to avoid common mistakes after an accident by getting your free copy at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
At Shane Company, we love a spring engagement, but you might be wondering, how do I find the perfect engagement ring? As a trusted family jeweler since 1929, we get asked this a lot. We have a wide selection of ring settings, like vintage designs with romantic details, floral settings inspired by nature, and classic styles with clean lines and sleek metals. Dreaming of the most beautiful diamond you've ever seen? At Shane Company, we handpick only the sparkliest center stones in all shapes and sizes, from oval to round to marquise, and more. We have gorgeous natural and lab-grown diamonds at competitive prices, in-store, ready to compare side by side. Drawn to certain colors? We're known for our rainbow of vivid natural sapphires, including shades of blue, straight out of a fairy tale, handpicked by our owner, Tom Shane. At Shane Company, we have the best free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, plus resizing, repairs, and cleanings for life. Visit us at shaneco.com or in store. No appointment necessary. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey there, I'm Phil Briggs, Navy veteran and host of CBS Eye on Veterans weekly radio show and podcast. And I often think of my old boss in the Navy, Commander Reed, especially when I'm trying to motivate my kids. Now I know how he must have felt trying to motivate me. This Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants to celebrate those who go above and beyond for us every day. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Greg Popovich will no longer be head coach of the Spurs. He's transitioning to a full-time role as the team's president of basketball operations. Mitch Johnson, who took over for Popovich in an interim role, will take over as head coach on a permanent basis. Mariners kick off a 6-game road trip today, beginning with a series against the Rangers at 5:05.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Fox Sports NFC West reporter Eric Williams joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Eric, before we ask you anything about the division, I've got to ask you a question about Russell Wilson. It was a debate that Bump and I had yesterday that was super fun. We were initially talking about whether Wilson's jersey number should be retired by Seattle, and we both settled on, no. But then we started arguing about whether he's a Hall of Famer, and we, as a station, posted the video today, and it's continuing as a debate. No one can agree. I figured I would ask you, is there a Hall of Fame case for Russell Wilson?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Happy Friday. Appreciate the time. First of all, his jersey should be retired. He's the best quarterback in franchise history. Took them to the Super Bowl. I think his jersey should be retired once his playing career is over. In terms of the Hall of Fame, he has more work to do. I feel like he needs to rebuild his case based on how he's played, both once he left Seattle with Denver and with Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh was a good start. He played well at times, obviously fizzled out there. Now he gets another opportunity to see if he can take a team to the postseason and perhaps the Super Bowl with the Giants. So I still feel like, as a Hall of Fame voter, that he has more work to do.
I agree with the Hall of Fame vote. I think that's what keeps me, Eric, from putting him up, having his jersey retired, is because every other player in the organization who has a jersey retired is a Hall of Famer. So I'm waiting for that box to be checked, but I also understand the argument as to why he should have his jersey retired, because he's clearly the best quarterback this franchise has ever seen. But transitioning to the quarterback that the Hawks have now, I think it's interesting, right? They have an out that second year with Sam Darnold, just in case. You bring over Drew Lock, just in case, and then you draft Milroe, just in case. If you're Sam Darnold, how are you feeling about your job security moving past this year?
If I'm Sam Darnold, I look at my bank account and I feel pretty good about my job security.
Right.
In terms of Darnold and his play, I've had a chance to watch Darnold up close a handful of times. I was able to go to his pro day when he was coming out for the draft at USC. And then, I've watched him a handful of times when he's played in the league. I like his skill set. I think it's a perfect match in terms of, how they want to build that offense with Kubiak. I think one of the things that maybe isn't being talked about enough is
Darnold's a pretty good athlete. Like he can get out, he can move. So his ability to run some of that zone read stuff, to scramble and make second read reaction plays, I think is going to be something that will be, a positive for that offense. And certainly Geno could do that too. Geno was an underrated athlete as well. The other thing I think with Darnold is, he can throw it, and I think that's kind of one of the things that Schneider likes when he's looking and evaluating quarterbacks. You can go all the way back to, trading for Charlie Whitehurst, who could really throw the football. Certainly Geno could throw the football well. They bring back Drew Lock, who has, a lot of arm talent, elite arm talent. So I don't feel like Darnold is worried about his job. I do feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure to show that last year wasn't a fluke, that that's who he is now and not who he was in the past, with the Jets and the Panthers.
Hey, a bit later in the show, we're going to discuss how Vegas odds makers see Seattle. They have them as, depending on the sports book you're looking at, either a favorite for last or with the second longest odds to win the division. And one thing that we're going to be asking ourselves is, what do we think odds makers see, or people placing bets? What do we think they see when they look at the Seahawks that might make them have less confidence in this team? I'll throw a similar question your way. It's tough, Eric, because you know everything about these 4 teams in the division, so you can't really, think of removing so much of the context. But if you were to remove the context, what do you think the average NFL or sports fan sees when they look at the Seahawks?
Yeah, I get it, I guess. I think with, Darnold and the transition from the Vikings, who had a lot of playmakers on offense, and people think maybe that was the reason he had so much success there, along with O'Donnell at his quarterback, and going to a new system where they hired a new offensive coordinator that's going to be implementing a new offense in Seattle. So I could understand why people might be a little skeptical. But in my opinion, those people weren't watching the Seahawks last season. They won, I believe, 6 of their last 8 games. They played much better on defense. And now you look at the draft where they added a bunch of offensive pieces, most importantly up front, with Zabel in the first round. I'm pretty bullish. I think they could win over 10 games pretty easily if they stay healthy. And, besides the Rams, I think they're the second best team in the division. But I can understand nationally, again, you're way up there in the Pacific Northwest. Nobody pays attention to what's happening up there. They know that you didn't, go to the playoffs for the second time in 3 seasons. And so maybe people aren't as bullish on the Seattle as I am going into the season.
We were trying to figure out how this run game is going to improve. And it's a combination of things, right? It's the personnel. Hopefully Zabel works out with that, and maybe the personnel develops. It's the scheme to kind of fit the personnel. But then it's the running back room, too. And Eric, what I pointed out to Stacy is that with that wide zone, you just have to be so patient. You got to give it a chance, and then look for the cutback. Give it a chance, and then hit the B gap. And I look at Damian Martinez, and his film says he can do exactly that. How much pressure is he putting on K9 and Zach Charbonnet when it comes to getting reps and carries?
Well, I think anytime you add to a running back room a draft pick, and there's going to be expectations, but I think the pressure really is going to come from within, from Walker and Charbonnet and McIntosh, in terms of those guys already being there and understanding, how to be professionals. And you're right, when they first implemented that zone running scheme, when Pete took over, it was a while before it became effective, and Marshawn was breaking off big runs. People were questioning, whether Marshawn was worth trading for at that point. And then obviously you had, Beastquake, and things just kind of took off from there. So I do feel like fans are going to have to be patient as they make this transition, because it is about kind of building reps and building chemistry between that offensive line group, along with the running back, seeing the same thing and understanding where the cutback lanes are and where to read it. But I think once they figure that out, I expect them to be better in the second half of the season, kind of like they were last year. Now, we don't know what the schedule is going to be like. We'll find out May 14th in terms of who the opponents are going to be. But in terms of the running game, I do feel like it's going to take some time.
How do you see not in terms of first through fourth place, but in terms of exceeding expectations or being pretty competitive, how do you see the rest of the NFC West?
My opinion is the Rams are the team to beat, based on how they played defensively and the fact that they took the Eagles to really, 10 yards. They almost scored there at the end. They could have been, moving on if they were able to block things correctly up front and not have Jalen Carter kind of wreck the game there at the end. Them getting Matthew Stafford back was big. They made a couple moves in free agency. Jalen Ramsey could be coming back, which would help their defense. Getting Poona Ford was big for them. Terrence Ferguson's going to be a good player for them in terms of the seam stretcher, which they haven't had for a while at the tight end position. And then obviously Devontae Adams is going to add a different dimension to what they had previously on offense. So Rams are the teams to beat. And then I think after that, I feel like the Seahawks and I think the Niners are going to be kind of right there fighting for that second spot. I believe the Niners are going to rebound. I know they made a lot of changes during the offseason. I think they've had 20 different players leave, at least nearly that much in terms of free agency. Drafted a bunch of people defensively, so their defensive front will look a little different. But I think when you talk about the Niners, the fact that they get Robert Saleh back, and then also a lot of people aren't talking about Gus Bradley going back there as a senior defensive assistant in case, Saleh leaves for a head coaching job in the future. They now have a replacement for him already on their staff. So they have one of the better coaching staffs, in the NFL, and I think their defense is going to be much improved, not only because of the personnel changes they've made, but because of those coaching changes. And now we got to figure out, is Brock Purdy going to come back and what that contract is going to look like. And then for me, Cardinals are bringing up the rear. I just don't like how Kyler finished out the season. Thought they struggled a little bit. I like their draft in terms of improving things defensively and the pieces that they added in free agency, Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell. But, I'm still kind of up in the air in terms of is Murray that guy that can kind of lead them to the next step.
Hey, Eric, I was obviously we watched the draft. We covered the draft and focused on the Seahawks. And I don't see one move that left me scratching my head. Like everything made sense to me according to what they needed and what was available. Do you share that same feeling, or were there any picks to where you felt like they could have gone a different direction?
I think for me, the wild card is Milroe. You draft a quarterback in the third round. So you're obviously expecting something out of that person, not just long term, but I think, near term. How are you going to use him? Is he going to be a gadget guy that you're going to bring in short yardage and, goal line situation because of his speed and explosion and ability to create chunk plays? So, I'm wondering how they're going to, fit him in. I mean, obviously Macdonald was, with Baltimore when Lamar Jackson was there and understands, how much having a quarterback like that, threatens the defense. So that would be my only question mark. It's third round pick is still a guy that you expect to come in and contribute. So I think, when you take a quarterback like that, which, it's the third time they've drafted a quarterback since Schneider's been there, I'm interested to see how they use him.
I know that we've already brought you on following the signing of Cooper Kupp to ask you questions about Cooper, but I think following the draft, when Seattle didn't take a wide receiver with one of their day one or day two picks, there were a lot of fans going, God, I'm so nervous about what you have in that group. So I thought, Eric, that as part of this interview, we just kind of revisit, the conversation about Cooper. No, I don't expect him to be your number one receiver, but are you optimistic that he's still got something left and he can still answer that question for Seattle, provide that depth at least this year?
Yes and yes. Just having covered Cooper, day in, day out, for 4 or 5 seasons when I covered the Rams. I think what Cooper allows you to do is now you can move Jackson out in the perimeter and let him see if he can emerge as your number one guy, and run routes out there and win, because that Cooper can kind of get it done in the slot. The other thing that you get with Cooper is basically you have a coach on the field. Like he knows that offense at a coach level and could teach it to other people within the room. And then I think lastly, he's a guy that has a Super Bowl ring. He's been there. And I think that's important in terms of this franchise wanting to get back to the Super Bowl. I had a chance to talk to John Schneider at the Combine, and one of the things he said is he wants to get back to that culture and mentality that they had when they had those Super Bowl teams. And I think it starts with bringing guys in that could kind of, be an example of what you need to see in terms of your work and your effort. They brought in Marquez Scanling at receiver, and then Ernest Jones, won a Super Bowl with the Rams as well. So they have a couple players that have experienced it, but Cooper Kupp still can play. I think the main thing I would think about is how are they going to manage his reps, both in training camp and the regular season, so that he can stay healthy for the duration of the season. I know Cooper is the guy that wants to practice every day, but you might have to give him some off days, both in training camp and the regular season, just to make sure, that he stays healthy.
Last one before we let you get out of here, Eric. We talked about the Seahawks in the division, but what about the big dogs in the league and their drafts? Like, what do you think about the guys that we expect to contend every year? The Chiefs, Baltimore, Bills, the NFC, I guess, is wide open. Maybe the Detroit Lions. How did the big dogs do this draft?
Yeah, I did a story this week on top 10 draft hauls, and as you would expect, the Eagles and the Ravens were amongst those teams in that list. And I think, those are the kind of teams that year in and year out, they draft the best players on the board, and somehow it's able to work out for them. I think with the Eagles, they got Jihad Campbell at the end of the first round, a guy that can play off-ball linebacker for them and also rush the passer. And so you're trying to replace that production that you lost with Josh Sweat. So I think that makes sense. And then I think they also got some pretty good offensive line guys when you look at Miles Hinton, Cameron Williams. And so I like what the Eagles did. Also, we're talking about contenders, obviously. But I like what the Cleveland Browns did in their draft, moving back a couple picks and letting somebody else take Travis Hunter and getting a good player, that can play in the middle of their defense in Graham, and getting that extra pick next year when the quarterback class is going to be better. And then you take Sanders in the 5th round. Again, I don't really hate that. You struggled at quarterback, seems like forever there. So you might as well have as many bites at the apple as you can. And now you have Sanders there, you have Kenny Pickett there, you have Dylan Gabriel there, who I like. I think it's going to be a good backup in the league. And so, I know people think Cleveland's a dumpster fire, and in some respects they're probably not wrong. But I think in terms of quarterback, to have as many guys there just, competing for the job, I think makes sense.
He is Fox Sports NFC West reporter Eric Williams. Eric, we hope you enjoy the rest of your offseason, and I am sure you will be hearing from us as we get ready for I can't believe it's not that far away, kind of like a training camp division primer as we head into the summer. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eric.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game. What former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, who's a UDFA you will be following this offseason?
He is or was the heaviest football player in the league when he got picked up. His name is Desmond Watson. 464 of them things.
Oh, my God.
He's a big boy. So when they talked about the tush push and how to stop it, people went directly to Desmond Watson out of Florida and said, that's the guy that you pick up. He's an undrafted free agent, but he lost some weight. He says he's lost 27 pounds. And I don't know if you've heard this rapper, Big X the Plug. I'm the biggest, the largest.
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
The way you say it like that, too.
And sure. I know all of his songs.
Big X the Plug out of Houston. That's what he reminds me of, man. He's a double wide trailer. He's going to fill up 2 gaps. He's one body. And he's a guy that I'm going to follow. I love watching undrafted free agents. As you know, I have a soft spot for them. I was one myself. And that's a journey. So yesterday I gave you a DB who was drafted late in the first round that no one's talking about. Today I'm going to give you an undrafted free agent. He says he's lost 27 pounds. When he entered the league, 464 pounds. He's a double wide. He's got slow feet, but he just needs to take on double teams. And he'll be just fine. Look this kid up.
An important part of my contribution here is Googling things that weigh 450 pounds. That's the analysis I provide.
Okay.
Saltwater crocodile.
Saltwater crocodile.
Kodiak bear.
Okay.
Hippopotamus, which feels a little mean.
That feels a little light.
That feels a little, right? Okay, well, this says they can reach weights of 450 pounds or more. I feel like there's no way hippos.
They look like they're 1,000 pounds.
That's what I'm saying. Speaking of 1,000 pounds, Guess the weight of a polar bear.
1,000 pounds.
1,700.
1,700, more than a hippo.
Oh my God, get like 2 of those guys on the defensive and
going
offensive
on?
line. We're done. Super Bowl. Sharpie, you know what I mean? Second down. Who do you think can have one of the better backfields in 2025?
See, and you might be surprised with this one, but the reason why I think they're going to have one of the better backfields is because of what they have on the outside and at the quarterback position. And really, I'm looking at the Cincinnati Bengals. I know Chase Brown, who is that? Get to know him. He's a kid out of Illinois. Last year, he had 990 yards, but it's really because of who they picked up in Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. When they played the Cougs last year, I was so excited. I called that game that he wasn't playing because he's a big play type of guy. He's like the Damian Martinez for them because for us, Damian Martinez was drafted late, and we feel like he's going to make an impact.
Yeah.
He was drafted in the 7th round as well. I'm telling you, it's not because they're the most talented, which I think Chase Brown, he's had some big games last year. He had a $120 against the Raiders. He has games of 91, but he's consistent, 4.3 per carry. But Taj Brooks is going to open it up because he can run out the backfield. He's bigger than he looks, and he can receive the rock. It's more about what's happened on the outside with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I'm telling you, I think Cincinnati has an opportunity to be a top 10 rushing team next year with these two.
So not the answer I was expecting, but also Cincinnati's going to need to score 40 or more points a game in order to win anything this year. Third down. Who's a veteran wide receiver that's a free agent you think could really help a young wide receiver core?
Keenan Allen is still out there. He's 33 years of age. He has $11 million market value per year. We'll see if that comes down a little bit. But he's the type of receiver that's going to wait until training camp and someone's going to get hurt and someone's going to grab this dude. He's never, the best part about Keenan Allen is that he's never been a burner. He's never been a guy that you expect just to run by you. So as he gets older, it's fine because the decline isn't going to be that great. He's more of a route runner and he has great hands. In the red zone right now, there's no one who runs better routes than Keenan Allen. Nobody in the league. So this is what you do. You bring in a veteran receiver like Keenan Allen to mentor these guys. And when you get in that red zone, you put him out there and you let him go to work. I'm surprised he's not picked up yet, but I know that as the training camps and OTAs and stuff get going, someone's going to go down, unfortunately. That's the name of the game. And Keenan Allen's going to be sitting there waiting to get picked up. I can't wait to see where he ends up.
Fourth down. We were just joined by Fox Sports NFC West reporter Eric Williams. Anything stand out from that interview?
Yeah, I wrote it down as soon as I heard him say this. He said, listen, don't get it twisted. Sam Darnold can run. I go, what? Sam Darnold can run. I went and checked out his stats. Right in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the game. He has 972 rushing yards, not bad. He has 14 rushing touchdowns, not bad. He has a long of 24, 30, 26, and 46. And then I went back and watched some film while we were doing this interview with Eric Williams, and I'm looking at him. I got to give him more credit. He can move a little bit. Does that mean the zone option is going to be in play as often as it would be with Milroe? Definitely not. But my bad, Sam. I wasn't familiar with your game. I didn't know that you could move like that. He got a little bit of burst to him. I wasn't ready for that. So I heard that. I had to go back and check Eric's work real quick. But, of course, Eric being the pro that he is, he was spitting some facts. I'm not saying this dude is going to – I mean, his best year, he rushed for 222 yards, and that was when he was with the Carolina Panthers. And that's probably because he was getting blitzed like crazy. The O-line was whacked, and he had to run for his life. He had 5 rushing touchdowns that year and a long of 30, 21 first downs. I'm just saying, if you got to pick up some yards – Sam is surprisingly capable of doing it.
It's kind of one of those things, too, where it's like throw another argument in the bucket for why this looks like 2012 but is not 2012. Like, it's a very different kind of quarterback battle and conversation when it comes to Jalen Milroe and Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold is not Matt Flynn and Jalen Milroe is not Russell Wilson. They're kind of their own unique stories. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we should be looking at it that way. These are two different quarterbacks, not only from each other, but from those two that they're being compared to. And that makes it super exciting to cover because it's like we haven't really seen this unfold yet. We don't know what it's going to look like. All right, still to come. Buster Olney out of ESPN, obviously, is joining us at noon. We've got the latest from Gray Zabel coming up at 11:45. Timeline coming your way next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Nick Ebenwari is with us. Nick, how are you, man?
Super blessed, super grateful, but I feel like I should have gone a little sooner, but I landed in the right spot ultimately. Had a great connection with them, so I'm glad I ended up going to the Seahawks. But in my notes, in my phone, like I kind of had like the NFL, it's personal list. So like, it's a funny thing I for myself.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Mike Salk here, and luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. And this summer, you can experience the breathtaking Cascade views, the world-class dining and entertainment, and elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Plus, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's award-winning outdoor summer concert series is back with amazing artists like Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and Pod. This summer, overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley, snocasino.com for tickets. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
And this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Lonnie. Lonnie, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
We've been with the same insurance company for over 32 years. And my husband said, come on, let's at least try it. And that was the smartest thing we ever did because we saved thousands, literally thousands a year on our insurance. They improved it. It cost me less, and it was a higher value. You know, I can't say enough good things about Scott because everything that he said he'd do, he did.
What do you tell your friends they can expect when they make the call to First Mark?
An easy, profitable, and actually pleasant call. They genuinely are trying to help you, and you can't beat that. We were silly to wait so long. A couple other friends that have called, too, they said, why didn't you tell us about this sooner?
You see, Lonnie did it. My family did it. You got to do it, and it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-371-0505. 800-371-0505.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
The Bump and Stacy Show is powered in part each day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to pendergastlaw.com.
Hey, it's me, the foul pole at T-Mobile Park. But it's about time they call me the fair pole because those are the moments I live for. When Cal's up to the plate, I'm always on high alert.
The big number with a two-run blast.
And then there's Randy Arozarena launching missiles into the stands, flipping his bat so high it practically reaches my eye level.
Blasted back, Randy Arozarena strikes again.
And J-Rod, heck. When he connects, he makes the whole building shake.
And it's gone. Goodbye, baseball. Julio Rodriguez.
So come on down and take a seat beside me. You might even go home with a souvenir. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
The Mariners are celebrating Mother's Day weekend during a 3-game series May 9th to 11th. And on Mother's Day, Sunday the 11th, the first 10,000 moms will score a clear purse thanks to Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Then the action continues with a showdown against the Yankees May 12th to 14th. Get your tickets at mariners.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Brought to you by Integrated Rehabilitation Group.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It is The Timeline on Bump and Stacy. Before I get to our top story on The Timeline, something related to my own timeline. My friend Michael Sean Dugar, suggested that I reframed the video as, who's the worst quarterback Seattle could have won a Super Bowl with in 2013?
Dang.
I love that question.
Dang.
I mean, it sounds disrespectful on its face, but it's also fascinating. So far, I have Alex Smith, of quarterbacks in the league at that time.
In
Someone said Alex Smith. Which isn't the question. You could say, in theory, you could be like, if there was a version of Brock Purdy, I think Brock Purdy, maybe that's your answer.
No, I like the who was in the league at that time, worst in the league.
It's starting quarterbacks in 2013.
Yeah, Terrell Pryor was in the mix.
No.
You got Jason Campbell and Fitzpatrick back in the day.
No, I think that
EJ Manuel, Josh McCown. There's a bunch of
But I guess if I have to choose the worst, okay, so
Gino was there too.
Gino was there, but I don't know if that version of Gino is winning much of anything. So in 2013, obviously, we're eliminating Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan. We're looking for the worst. So we're moving on down the list. We've got Ryan Tannehill had 3,900 yards and 24 touchdowns. Joe Flacco.
RG3 wasn't great.
Let's see.
Chad Henne? Heck no.
Jay Cutler.
You've got Eli Manning. You've got, let's see, Colin Kaepernick.
Andy Dalton.
Jay Cutler. Could Nick Foles,
Sam
Cutler.
Bradford.
Okay, I'm
Sam Bradford
just
could get
say
it done.
a name.
That Nick Foles in 2012 or in 2013 was actually a Pro Bowl player.
2,800
really
yards,
good.
27 touchdowns to 2 interceptions for that version of Nick Foles. Maybe the answer is that version of Nick Foles.
Sam Bradford could win if he stayed healthy. Sam Bradford could do it.
Sam Bradford had all the talent and potential. He just couldn't stay healthy. Wasn't he a number 1 overall pick?
He was one of the last few to get paid.
He was the last. Yeah, that class. Okay, so the answer you're saying is Sam Bradford.
I'm going with Sam. I think Sam could win it.
You think Jay Cutler could do it?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
What about Matt Schaub?
I don't know. He was sneaky good, man. He had himself some good years.
Josh McCown.
Nah, heck no.
Case Keenum.
Negative.
Brandon Whedon.
Oh, heck no.
Christian Ponder.
Definitely not.
Matt Flynn.
Negative. One game, and he made about 20 mil off that game.
All right. Let's get to our top story here in the timeline. This one is on its face not that interesting, but I think it's actually about a topic that a lot of listeners care about. So there's currently a Senate hearing set to take place on the future of sports broadcasting. Ted Cruz is kind of like the leader of this, effort. A hearing. So it's going to be on Tuesday, and it's talking about the future of sports channels. So the way that this is framed is, quoted, catching your favorite team on TV shouldn't feel like solving a puzzle. This is a statement from Ted Cruz. Games that used to be free or easy to find are now scattered across pricey apps and exclusive deals. This hearing will explore how leagues intend to keep sports accessible and affordable for the fans who make it all possible. Obviously in response to the number of media rights that are locked up with different streaming services where, a Mariners game might be only on Apple TV on that Friday, or a Kansas City Chiefs game might only be on Netflix on that Christmas Day or whatever. So with the complaints coming from this is the hearing that's going to be heard. The NFL refused to show up, but representatives from every other league did. here's my question for you, Bump.
Of course.
The NFL being like, no, we're not that interested.
We're good.
We're fine. I've always been probably unfairly confused about this because my memory of having cable versus paying for streaming is that cable plus a sports package is super expensive.
Yep.
So when people kind of complain about streaming services, in theory, I totally get it. It's something that you have to take an extra step you wouldn't have taken before. But that typically those streaming services, barring a cable replacement like Hulu or YouTube Live, are pretty affordable.
Yeah, they are affordable. And once you start stacking the streaming services, then it can get a little pricey and probably be equivalent to what you would pay when you talk about the cable and the sports package. This is what I think is happening. I think that there's a generational thing happening to where older folks in their, you're not old, but older than a lot of people in their 50s and 60s are so used to doing things one way that they don't want to take that extra step, which can get confusing. Like, I'm about to be 40, and sometimes I just hand my phone over to my kid and say, all right, do this for me, because your brain just works differently. So I think that the resistance is coming from them because they're so used to having everything so centralized and saying, I know on ABC I can find this and I can do that, which I understand. I ain't mad at that. I'm all for simplicity. But I also think there are some advantages from streaming. Like, the camera work is different. You get different voices. You're not just listening to the same guy. Like, we no longer have the iconic voices we used to have, like Keith Jackson and stuff like that, because of social media and just media in general and all the other platforms, right? There are so many other voices that you can listen to, because at one point you're force-fed certain voices and saying, this is how you listen to this game, which is fine. But now there are some other voices that I want to listen to. There are other perspectives that I want to hear, and that's what streaming does. It gives you so many more options. So I think that this is just a push from the older generations who don't like this change, which I get. I am not hating. I love simplicity, but I also like to have options.
I think that this is confusing to me for this reason, and Curtis mentioned it earlier, so I'm borrowing a point you made. Hat tip, Curtis. On the one hand, in my experience, a cheap cable replacement like Hulu Live plus the streaming services I subscribe to is cheaper than when I was paying for cable of the sports package by quite a bit. So from a cost point of view, I don't quite understand the case. What feels like an anti-business approach to it, particularly when it doesn't cost people significantly more.
Yeah.
And I'm not fighting against it. We'll see what happens. It doesn't change for me. Like, I have an app in Hulu Live that will let me watch the games no matter where they are if they're only available on like cable and not on streaming services anymore. But it's weird. I just don't know how, from a legal standpoint, you make leagues do this.
You can't. They're their own entity. This is their own product. You could apply pressure somehow in a way and pull out their heartstrings and say, but look, your fans, it's too hard for your fans to find it. But then the NFL, they're looking at the numbers and saying, we're actually doing pretty good. We're actually good in that department. So why would we change what we're doing when our business plan is actually working? We're getting more eyes than we've ever had. Netflix had, like 50 million people watch a playoff game? One of the highest watched playoff games of all time. So when the numbers are telling you one thing and the politicians are telling you another thing, you should show your business plan and go, look, it's working, we're profitable, and people are watching these games.
I just have a question as to what's the true intent of this. Is this to get people that are sports fans to think, yeah, you're standing up for me? Is this to get more eyes on certain broadcast networks that you want people to be watching more regularly? I don't know what it is, but it doesn't entirely make sense, like you said, Bump, based on the numbers of people that are still clearly able to watch these games and at prices that are comparable to what they were already paying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. An interesting story to follow. Again, that hearing is this coming Tuesday on the 6th, and something that will, even if it kind of fades to the background as we talk about all these big stories in sports, will absolutely matter and have some impact. So as there are developments, we'll keep you guys posted on this story. All right, still to come. Oh, quickly, the IRG injury report brought to you by IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. Just this week, the Mariners have placed, Logan Gilbert, Dylan Moore, and Luke Raley on the IL. Jerry Dipoto gave an update on MLB Network, and I have that sound for you Guys, this is on Gilbert and Kirby.
We're hopeful that we're going to see both this month, which is, a little better than we had thought initially. And George starts his rehab assignment. We believe it's going to take at least 2 minor league starts, perhaps 3. Logan's going to be a little bit behind that, but we think they're both going to return sometime before the end of May if everything goes the way it's currently planned.
I'm sorry, did I hear both going to return sometime at the end of May? We already knew that Kirby could be looking at a May-June return date. The optimism on Logan is incredibly encouraging.
I love it. All right, coming up next, we heard the latest from Zabel, some stuff from John Schneider, and then ESPN's Buster Olney talking Mariners at noon. Don't go anywhere.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Nick Ebenwari is with us. Nick, how are you, man?
Super blessed, super grateful, but I feel like I should have gone a little sooner, but I landed in the right spot ultimately. Had a great connection with them, so I'm glad I ended up going to the Seahawks. But in my notes, in my phone, I kind of had an NFL, it's personal list, so that's a funny thing I for myself.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Welcome to IRG Sports Injury Update. We're with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and president of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. And our guest, Caitlin Paskowich, IRG physical therapist and board certified sports medicine resident.
Katie, tell us from a perspective of a physical therapist that's going to treat a shoulder dislocation when they come into your office from an assessment standpoint, treatment plan, and return to activity.
Yeah, one of the biggest things we'll see is athletes who come in after a shoulder dislocation. They can vary in their injury range quite a bit. So we'll see tendon injuries, ligament injuries, nerve injuries, and all of those things we want to address. Early range of motion, slow and pain-free. We want to get their strength back. We want to make sure they have their neuromuscular control of their shoulder blade again. And all of those are how we kick off PT with a shoulder dislocation.
The shoulder's connected to the core's to the hip, the hip's to the leg. So as a physical therapist, particularly sports medicine physical therapist, you're looking at the whole closed chain or kinetic chain, we call it.
That's the beauty of physical therapy. When you come in, we're going to take a look at that core. We're going to take a look at your hips. We want to make sure that your body is moving as it should entirely.
And a lot of people get back to activity. I mean, as soon as you control the pain, get the range of motion back, start working on some strength, then you're going to really work on function and really kind of be specific to return to play activities as a sports therapist.
Exactly. It's going to vary drastically by age. Some of our younger individuals we tend to be a little bit safer with because they tend to dislocate again. We try to get you back to function as soon as possible, and that's why we work on this early strengthening, early stabilization.
And anybody that has a dislocation, physical therapy is going to benefit from a standpoint of stability, strength, and function. Everybody needs that.
100%. We want you to come in after your shoulder is dislocated. We hope to start you as soon as possible once you see your orthopedic surgeon.
Katie, thank you for your information. If you want more information regarding sports medicine or injuries, you can contact Katie at irgpt.com. That's irgpt.com.
With over 40 neighborhood clinics around Washington, IRG has you covered. Let IRG be your family's physical therapist. Find the location nearest you at irgpt.com. That's irgpt.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Mike Salk here with special guest Ryan Roland Smith, and we love having Hyphen on the show to talk a little baseball, but today, talking about something a bit more personal, yet really exciting. Hyphen, share all the good news.
Thanks, Mike. Look, I've been hearing for about 2 years now how you did the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan and how you lost a ton of weight. I decided to see what the program was all about, and I'm so glad I did. So far, I've lost 30 pounds in just 60 days, and my only regret is not starting sooner.
Well, I'm happy for you. What's been the best part of the program so far?
Honestly, how simple it's been. There's no crazy exercises, no counting calories or scary shots or injections, no side effects or any of that stuff. I feel healthier, I'm sleeping better, I'm eating delicious meals, and the accountability plus communication from the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic team has made it fun.
Man, that is awesome, buddy. Would you recommend it?
Yes. To anyone listening, I was in your shoes. Just schedule a 15-minute consult at Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. It's all you have to do to start.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Dave Wyman here with an incredibly special guest, the mayor of the city of Lacey, Andy Ryder. Andy's a proud Seattle sports listener and recently underwent successful treatment for prostate cancer. His treatment method? Swedish CyberKnife. Andy, tell us about your treatment.
The entire treatment was just 5 days, less than an hour a day. I spent more time commuting to the appointment than actually being in treatment.
Any side effects during or after?
I've had very few side effects. I've been very lucky to not have some of the side effects that I was worried about with other treatments.
What would you say to anyone considering prostate cancer treatment?
I'm feeling very confident about my treatment with CyberKnife, and I absolutely recommend it for anyone who has been diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Thank you, Andy, and congratulations. Reach out to Swedish CyberKnife directly. You don't even need a referral. Go to swedish.org/CyberKnife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We have so much sound to go over today. We learned a lot about Zabel and the Seahawks yesterday in his introductory press conference. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to get back to the Mariners, back to baseball with ESPN's Buster Olney. So hang tight. I know that everyone is and should be very excited about this Mariners team right now, coming off 7 consecutive series wins, looking for an 8th. First game of this series against the Rangers begins at 5:05 p.m. Brian Wu on the mound. Again, Buster joining us less than 15 minutes right now. Latest from Zabel. We've got some stuff here from John Schneider as well. So we'll start with Gray, who got a chance to talk about first his relationship with Steve Hutchinson.
Hutch has been awesome throughout this kind of experience. I mean, he interviewed me down at the Senior Bowl. He interviewed me at the Combine. He's been a real mentor this past week. And being able to ask him kind of all the questions that a rookie or a new guy has been unbelievable, and super grateful for him.
So again, Steve Hutchinson, obviously an advisor there with Seattle, a huge mentor with Zabel. Fitting, given that, as you mentioned, the last first-round interior guy.
And he got his blessing to wear his number, too.
Yeah.
So that's big. And this is what good organizations do from high school to college to the NFL. You bring back your guys, especially ones who had a big impact on your organization, and allow them to be a part of this and mentor these guys, because they will. They take pride in that stuff. So this is important. And you get the blessing of Hutch, and then he gets to teach you just the game in general, because if there's any position that has changed the least, it's probably offensive line. And the athletes might have changed, but you're still going to see a bare front. You're still going to see an Okie front. You're still going to see an even. You're going to see an odd. Like, the box hasn't changed that much as far as O-line, D-line. Now, the second level of linebackers and how they play and that type of player has changed a bit, and all these other things on the perimeter. But when it comes down to it, it's 5 on those 3 or on those 4 on those 6, however you line it up. So to have a resource like Hutch to, one, bless him with by allowing him to wear his number, but just the knowledge of the game is huge, because, listen, there hasn't been this much pressure on an offensive lineman to come in and perform in a long time, man. So I hope Gray just uses all of his resources.
Speaking of it being so long since there's been so much pressure or excitement about the offensive line, Zabel had this to say about the reception he's gotten.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like you said, those guys are normally getting all the publicity, but super cool that the 12s is kind of bought into me and kind of had my back through this, and it's been awesome. And super excited for this fall.
A great question. He was asked if he's a little surprised by how excited fans have been about an offensive lineman. I would imagine that usually those guys, everyone's really excited to see Travis Hunter in Jacksonville. And when Abdul Carter gets to New York, or Jersey, people are going to be like losing their minds and really excited. An offensive lineman probably like not quite used to that same reception. But when I tell you, and Bump, I'm sure this was your experience, that everyone at the draft day thing that I was at was losing their minds. I know Brock was next to you, and I hope your ears have recovered.
I'm good now. Yeah, it's amazing. And not just an offensive line, a guard. Typically, I remember Evan Neal a few years back out of Bama, I believe, was coming out and had a whole bunch of hype around him. Even Charles Cross, picked up at the number 9 spot. So to have this type of hype just lets you know how desperate we are, or the fans are, for an offensive lineman. Also, and I tip my cap to the 12s. You're knowledgeable, right? You didn't just want the shiny new toy. You wanted the reliable tool that is going to be in your toolbox, hopefully, for years to come. You can go ahead and get, and that is hopefully going to be Gray Zabel. So I appreciate that the fans bought into this, and it's easy to buy into because you see all the struggles that this offensive line has had. But big ups to the 12s, man. You guys are doing a great job making them feel supported, and it's showing that you understand exactly what's needed here.
Do you wonder in listening to him, and we've got a ton of cuts here, but I know you've listened to his interviews, he sounds like someone who could evolve into a leader. He's going to have to take a step down in the hierarchy, right? You go on to an NFL team, and you've got Charles Cross, a number 9 pick who's been there longer than you. But I feel like this offensive line has been for a while a young group that by virtue of youth alone is lacking the leadership that you saw from someone like Dwayne Brown.
Yeah, it is. And what year is this going to be for Charles Cross? Number 4? Number 4. He's a vet now. He's been around the block. He has 2 seasons, over 1,000 snaps, one with 900, one with 700. There's not much that he hasn't seen. So I hope that he's comfortable stepping into that role for real and saying, all right, this is my group now. Because last year, and that's the tough part because the Hawks have tried bringing in veterans and allowing them or hoping that they kind of take the lead and teach these young guys, and buying guys like Charles Cross and Abe Lucas some time to kind of develop into those roles. But now this is Charles' group. And we'll see what veteran they bring in, if they do bring in a veteran later on during the summertime or after camp or whatnot. But no, this is Cross's group. So the fact that you have a guy going into his 4th year that is his group, you have another tackle going into his 4th year, you bring in this rookie. Hopefully Oluwatimi is going to be that guard going into his 3rd year. You're starting to kind of see what the nucleus can be. I still think they bring in a veteran to help this group out. But yeah, I like young leadership. I like old leadership too because they know what they're talking about. Yeah. But I like young leadership just because it keeps everyone together, and you can bond and communicate on a certain level.
Tell me if I'm wrong by this take that I feel deeply in my soul for no reason. Your offensive line, despite having a ton of talent, can only really be good when there's a feared leader or an intimidating leader.
Nah, I don't think so.
Really?
No.
I'm thinking of just like a presence that an offensive line has to have. It's hard because I am thinking of Dwayne Brown, and he was very much that person. You could just sense it being around him. I'm thinking of maybe how Philly's locker room feels about the guys on that offensive line, some of whom are older, though, so maybe that just comes with time. But I don't know. I'm just thinking you kind of need – it's like, how every team kind of needs a wide receiver that's like a little crazy.
Yeah.
I think that you need an offensive lineman that's a little intimidating.
Here's the thing is that off the field, they could be the nicest person in the world. On the field, if you bring that funk, that stank, that energy, it's different. And I've seen that with guys. Like off the field, Big Ray is the nicest dude in the world.
Yeah.
On the field,
not so much.
Big Ray was not a nice guy. So what they give us isn't what is exactly going on the field, or maybe even in the locker room. And I can see a guy like Charles Cross flipping that switch. I know Abe can do it. Abe off the field is my dude's like 47 years old and has been through a lot in his life. He's just so focused and mature and stuff. So I think if there's anybody who brings that and shows that consistently, it's going to be Abe. But that doesn't mean that Charles Cross doesn't do it when he's on the field.
All right. Let's see. We'll see if we can get back to this John Schneider cut. I don't have time for it right now. He's just asked how he feels about the offensive line now that the draft's over. And it will not surprise you to know that he's very optimistic. But I think he was somewhat optimistic heading into the draft. He seems to think a lot of the pieces they have, they can coach up. So we'll explore that topic a little bit next week. We got to take a listen to ESPN Buster Olney. He joins us next.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10.
Jeff Passan of ESPN, who joins us.
Where is Cal in the pantheon of the best catchers in baseball right now?
I think he's at the top of the list, right? I mean, just at this point, I'm not sure who else is there. What we're seeing, though, is the guy who the Mariners gave $100 million guaranteed to.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey friends, it's Stacy with a little bit of inside info. I know there are a lot of local business owners listening right now. This message is for you. Wayscar Ford is running great pricing on all of their commercial vehicles, trucks, Super Duties, Isuzu FTRs, box trucks. The bigger, the better, and they have a ton of them. New and used models and a ton of 2025 models. I'm on their website right now. Here's one, $11,000 off. Another for $19,000 off. Wayscar Ford just expanded their heavy truck shop, and there are a ton of opportunities. They're looking for mechanics if anyone listening has heavy truck experience. Join a wonderful company at a dealership that's been in Auburn for 103 years. Take advantage of the amazing inventory and deals they have right now. Commercial sales and service for both Ford and Isuzu. A great option for people, a great option for families, and now business owners. I'm a proud customer. I know you will be too. Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. WayscarFord.com. That's WayscarFord.com.
Did you know that your windows and doors are your main source of energy loss? At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, our windows with triple weather stripping and gasket seals are up to 25% more efficient than Energy Star standards. LakeWashingtonWindows.com, a name you can trust.
Mike Salk here, and luxury awaits. It's Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. And this summer, you can experience the breathtaking Cascade views, the world-class dining and entertainment, and elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Plus, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's award-winning outdoor summer concert series is back with amazing artists like Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and POD. This summer, overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley, snocasino.com for tickets. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with my buddy Dave Taylor from First Mark Insurance. So glad, so thankful that Molly and I made the call. Had heard so many First Mark Challenge victories, we needed to take that challenge. What does happen from your perspective when that caller, when that email, when that person reaches out to you for a First Mark Challenge victory?
That's a great question. So there's several steps we go through in the process. The first step is we're going to gather information, find out all we can about that client and what their needs are. The next step is we will go out to the market. We have dozens and dozens of carriers that will compete for the business. At the end of that process, we will then bring those findings back to the customer, show them what we found, and who the eventual winner was in that competition.
And it may be who they're with.
It might be, yes. And sometimes that's the best we can do is recommend they stay where they are, but maybe modify a few coverages to put them in a better position.
So go take that challenge today. Go be the next First Mark Challenge victory. It costs you nothing, and they will be there with you every step of the way. FirstMarkInsurance.com. FirstMarkInsurance.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Getting engaged? At Shane Company, dream engagement rings are our specialty. We have the most beautiful natural and lab-grown diamonds, hand-picked in every price range, ready to compare side by side. Shop online at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Ready to order.
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Greg Popovich will no longer be head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. He's transitioning to a full-time role as the team's president of basketball operations. Mitch Johnson, who was interim coach for Popovich after he suffered a mild stroke back in November, will take over on a permanent basis. Mariners back in action today. They're starting a 6-game road trip that begins with a series against the Rangers at 5:05 p.m.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
ESPN's Buster Olney joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. And Buster, before we get to the Mariners, not only is it beautiful here in Seattle and has been for a couple days, which puts me into such a great mood, but there's also a really cool thing happening around baseball because it is Sarah Lang's birthday. Tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, Sarah, longtime researcher, after graduating from the University of Chicago, went to ESPN. Recently, reporter producer for MLB.com. About 4 years ago, she was diagnosed with ALS. She's in her early 30s now. And if you know Sarah, she's like one of the brightest lights you've ever met in your life. I made a point with my two kids of introducing them to her, as an example of someone who had a great work ethic, tons of passion about her work. And, she continues to do that to this day. And birthdays mean so much to her. She's always celebrated other people's birthday, and today's a chance for us to celebrate her.
I was just scrolling through Sarah's Twitter account trying to find her last when she does her win probabilities, and it's the opposite of a wee. There was one for the Mariners she had that I was trying to find, and I couldn't find it. She's hilarious and maybe one of Julio Rodriguez's favorite people. All right, well, I'm gonna start with Julio. Actually, that feels like a pretty natural transition since I know Sarah's a huge fan, and he's been a little more polarizing of late. I think because he has sky high potential, all the tools in the world, and then has just been kind of inconsistent. Curious as to not just how you've seen his development throughout the league, but maybe questions you still have and optimism you still have about Julio.
Well, it definitely feels like at the beginning of every year, we have a question of, what's wrong with Julio? What's going on with him? How come he starts so slow? And during the offseason, I had a really interesting conversation with Mark Teixeira, the longtime first baseman, for the Texas Rangers and later on with the Yankees. And he was a notoriously slow starter. And what he said to me was that he realized after trying different things, does he take hitting earlier in the offseason? Does he work on other things? Does he change the training that he does? He realized that for him, hitting was a challenge, and that he essentially, every time he showed up in spring training, had to relearn how to hit every year. And it sounds kind of crazy, but I kind of wonder if that's what's going on with Julio, that he's just a guy who's always going to have to work at hitting. He expands the strike zone. He gets hyper-aggressive, and then at some point, it feels like he works it out when you get to midseason. Maybe he's going to be on that trajectory. He's a great player, defensively, offensively, and he's the sort of guy, I think, in the second half, as the Mariners make this push for the playoffs, that he'll be better than what he is right now.
I feel for Julio. That sounds like my golf swing every spring. I gotta
you could just forget.
There you go.
Get it back together.
It happens to everyone, Bump.
It does. I feel you, Julio. Hey, Buster, you put out a tweet, I believe it was yesterday, comparing like the end of the season for the Mariners to the start that they had this year. And we got some mixed responses. Some people were all for it. Other people were like, well, it's two totally different teams. And me, I'm on the side, well, look, there's a lot of similarities with this team. Yeah, there's a name or two that's different, but essentially this is the same core. What do you think is the reason for the success they've had offensively this year?
So I think the one common denominator, it's not a perfectly all the way through, is Edgar Martinez. He joined, the statistic that I posted yesterday was if you go back to August 1st of last year, 82 games, basically half the season, the Mariners ranked second in the American League at all the key statistics, runs, home runs, WRC plus, stolen bases, the team that's ahead of them, the Yankees. And that was surprising to me. And part of the reason why I went back and looked at those numbers was because just talking with people about Edgar's impact as a hitting coach for the Mariners, I think it's real. Sometimes, guys come in and they're a pitching coach, they're a hitting coach, they don't have much impact. But I think Edgar's had a real impact. He was hired on August 23rd. So the vast majority of those 82 games were under his tutelage. And I'm biased because I, had those years on Sunday Night Baseball with Alex Rodriguez. And he would tell me stories, Alex would, about, after the Mariners would finish a series, getting on the team plane, and Edgar would be in the back and he'd be sipping some wine, and Alex would go back there and ask him all kinds of questions about hitting. How do you do this? And what do you think about here? And what do you think about facing this pitcher? And Alex told me about how Edgar has this beautiful ability to simplify everything that he's talking about. And Alex would pepper him for questions, for an hour, for 2 hours. And finally, Edgar would chase him back to the front of the plane, like, get out of here. I just want to enjoy my wine. I want to unwind. And I've heard similar things about Edgar now as a coach with the Mariners, working with Kevin Seitzer, who's another accomplished hitting coach. And look, his feeling is get a good pitch to hit, don't expand the zone, and then when you get a chance, do some damage. The idea that the Mariners, for basically half a season, would be second in runs while playing in their home ballpark, which everybody knows offensive numbers are generally going to be depressed, that's pretty impressive. And I'm going to say I think it's in part because of Edgar Martinez.
Yeah, I mean, Buster, you are obviously well connected. I'm sure you've talked to people with the Mariners, but we were just having conversations out at the park on Wednesday, and someone with the organization said something really similar where he was like, you look at, I think it was a 2 RBI single to right field, something that Julio had over the past weekend, and that being almost a direct result of Edgar, and obviously Kevin Seitzer involved with that room as well, with changing Julio's approach. So I think people try to look for, is he hitting 280? Does he have 10 home runs like Cal? And it's like, well, wait a minute, look at these little tiny changes at the plate where you can start to see Edgar's influence. And so I went back and watched that play, and he's right. I mean, it's interesting to see that change. I'll kind of echo Bump's point about there are some people going, well, it's early, how much should we read into it? And I think that's really natural, right? You look at a team with low expectations offensively, see a large output offensively, and then wonder how much of it is real. Is there anything you've seen from this team where you go, well, my interest is piqued. I don't know if this is real. I don't know if it's sustainable, but I'm starting to wonder where this goes.
The fact that they lead the American League West while having suffered the pitching injuries that they've had. Now Logan Gilbert out probably until sometime, mid to late June. Without Kirby, the idea that the offense is a strength, that is a different type of Mariners team. I think you're going back to the Kingdom days when you looked at this team and say, that they have an offensive output. And here's the other thing, too, and I in the time that I covered baseball, I've never seen one league so much better than the other league. The National League is staggeringly better than the American League. If you are an American League team and you are leading your division as the Seattle Mariners are, you can paint, or even if you're in second place or third place, the league is generally down so much, you can paint a reasonable path to playing the World Series. The National League is like the Justice League, Superman, Batman teams, the Flash. I mean, they are just stacked with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Mets, the Phillies. The American League team is the American League is the land of opportunity. And to see the Mariners hitting well early on, getting that kind of run production, knowing that at some point you would assume they're going to get the rotation back, I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about what's ahead.
I'm glad you feel that way. Last April was good to us as well. So I think everyone's kind of just holding on to their seats and saying, all right, let's see if this offense can keep going.
Sure.
And if you can overcome.
Yeah, you're like Charlie Brown with the football, right? You're just like, okay, here we go.
Exactly.
Is it going to get pulled back?
Exactly. We've seen this before, Buster, but this one feels a bit different. So I hope you're right about that. There's something that's weird about this team, man, because, coming into the season, we're thinking, just playing for contact and put the ball in play and all that good stuff. But lo and behold, they're one of the league leaders when it comes to home runs. Does a philosophy kind of pivot within the organization when you're getting something out of your team that you normally didn't expect, or do you kind of stick to what you've been preaching at the beginning of the year and kind of just take the benefits as they come?
Yeah, and I'm not going to pretend that I talked to Edgar today about this. But I think that what you're seeing with the home runs is a direct extension of what his message is, which is essentially don't expand the zone, make the pitchers work to you, get a good pitch to hit, and do some damage. If you're just a little bit more patient and you're not chasing out the zone, and I think this, these are words that right now probably apply to Julio more than any player on that team. You're just a little bit more patient. You get pitches in the zone, you can look to do damage. That's the kind of hitter Edgar was as a player. That's the kind of things we're seeing with the Mariners right now. When they get in those opportunities, so it's not only about trying to slap the ball to right field. I think it's about a two-strike approach when that's appropriate, and when you have an opportunity to lean into a pitch, that's what they're doing as well. And again, I tie it directly to what I know about Edgar, especially from my conversations with Alex and how Edgar thinks.
Hey, Buster, I wanted to get back to your last answer about the differences between the AL and NL right now, in particular because I think it's going to be really important context for an AL team as we approach the trade deadline when we talk about the Mariners' playoff odds. Again, this is a fan base, like Bump said, that's been hurt before. So there is a lot of pessimism when we talk about, April's been so fun. Look at Jorge Polanco playing like a baseball god. Like, this is amazing. You're always going to get here in Seattle people going, well, it's not going to last. And so we wanted to be able to just kind of keep a focus on the AL is weird. We're not saying that the Mariners are favored to win it by any means, but I'm having trouble pinpointing a team that very clearly should pull ahead. So I'm going to ask you that question. If you're a Mariners fan, what are the other American League teams that you're looking at like, okay, these guys might set themselves apart potentially? Maybe you're chasing these guys. You're 100% right in how you just cast that. Let's go division by division and just look at different teams that might be a team that could play in the World Series. The Yankees right now have horrific bullpen problems. They are far from a perfect team. The Orioles have made the playoffs the last 2 years. They have the worst starting pitching in baseball. The Boston Red Sox, they just lost one of their two big offseason acquisitions, Walker Buehler, to a shoulder injury. The American League Central. I think Detroit might be the best team in the American League. Like, they have excellent pitching. They have some young position players coming. That might be the biggest challenge for the other American League teams. The Tigers, they put it together with Tarek Skubal leading their staff. In the West, I just talked to Bruce Bochy the other day. The Rangers thought coming into this year that they were really going to hit. Jack Peterson went 21 days without a hit. Marcus Semien has been dropped into the middle of the lineup. We saw the Houston Astros in Sunday Night Baseball 2 weeks ago. Guys, it's not the same team because there's no Correa, no Springer. Yordan Alvarez doesn't have nearly the sort of support around him. So absolutely, if you're the Mariners, when healthy, they probably have the best starting pitching in the league. Their offense is at the very least comparable to some of the teams that they're going up against. And if they continue this production, if this is a sign of what's to come, Julio gets hot, yeah, you can paint a reasonable path into October and through October.
Hey, so it's a race to the finish, right? We've been in this situation before, and what's different about this year, obviously, is the health of the rotation, right? Logan's out. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen there. You got Kirby, who's hopefully coming back soon. We're waiting on Brash. Santos is gone. Do you think the offense has enough in it to kind of weather the storm and be around towards the end of the season with all the stuff that you just kind of painted for us? Do you think there's enough there for these guys to still be in the mix?
Julio's got to hit. at some point he's got to turn it around. And we've seen in recent years, that has happened in the second half. But, I'm stating the obvious when, you have your $400 million plus player that you need to play like that, especially with the structure and the payroll and what the Mariners haven't been spending. A couple things about the trade deadline. I think a lot of fans look at that as being, okay, that's when we can go and fix our problems. Here's the thing. The American League is so mediocre. There's going to be so many teams that are going to talk themselves into, you know what, we might have a chance here. And so what I'm hearing from general managers, they don't think there are a lot of sellers. They think that it's going to be very few teams at the deadline, whether it's the White Sox or the Marlins or the Rockies. And how much do those teams really have to offer, right? They're not going to be a lot of teams selling. And the other question, and we won't know until we get in July, how much support does Mariners ownership actually will it give to the front office to go out and add resources if, there are glaring needs that need to be filled?
He is ESPN's Buster Olney, host of Baseball Tonight. Rate, review, subscribe. Go take a listen if you aren't already. I know many of you are. And speaking of, all of us, really, are fans of Sarah. Please tell her happy birthday for us. I know she's a favorite among Mariners fans as well because she gives us love, and we always appreciate her for that. Thanks so much, Buster.
Thanks, Buster.
Absolutely. And as soon as I hang up, I'm going to text her, and I will get back the crying emoji. Because it really does mean a lot to her. It does mean a lot to her when with wishes like yours.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Buster.
See you guys.
Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, the Mariners start a 6-game road trip tonight, beginning with a series against the Texas Rangers. What's the real headline?
Let's hope they packed bubble wrap because we can't lose Brian Wu too.
Please tell me you've seen Little Giants.
Yes.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
I direct my attention to the right.
No.
So remember when they send a little homie to practice in bubble wraps, and they're pushing them around in a circle? Anybody over there? No, by myself.
Matt,
they're having their
Curtis,
own conversation.
you guys
Leave me
haven't
hanging
seen
right
it?
now.
Oh,
Forget
God.
these guys. I don't know what they're talking about.
I've actually seen Little Giants.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
Name
I
one
just can't
character.
remember.
Puerto Rico.
I just can't remember if it's
Name
the
one
soccer
character.
movie or the football movie. The Big Green is the one I'm thinking of.
That's soccer.
That's soccer.
Okay, I don't quite remember Little Giants.
Well,
I've seen The Sandlot.
His mom is
Rick Moranis is in Little Giants.
one of the kids gets sent to practice in foam and bubble wrap, and the kid says, "My mom said the pads you gave me weren't enough." So he shows up in that. That's how I feel like we need to do with these guys. Wu, don't walk down any stairs. He needs to be carried down the stairs. Okay, you don't even walk through the lobby. Get him one of those carts that people who have who can't walk.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
And
get him one of those
attach it to the
scooters.
stairs where it zooms you up the side of the stairs so you don't have to walk.
Exactly. Whatever we need to do to keep these guys healthy, that's what you do because we're going to see Wu, Castillo, and Evans. Now, the M's haven't won the first game in a 3 to 4 game series since April 11. Let's change that a little bit, but if you do lose, I'm not worried because you've shown that you are resilient. And Texas is a mediocre team right now. Who we talked to that said this is the M's division to lose? Who was
Morosi.
that? Morosi.
Yeah,
All right, well, we didn't talk to him, but Wyman and Bob
but we
did.
heard about it.
Felt like we did, though. We were
The
there.
Royal we did, as a station.
As a station, we
Yeah.
talked to John Rose.
So let's go, man. This will be number 8 in a row. All right, let's get number 8. Let's get it.
Headline
Curtis, did you
rewrites.
look up the record? Was it 9 or more? Like modern era? I mean, you're going to go back to the
I have not found the
1912.
answer.
Okay.
If only Alex Mayer were listening.
Alex.
This is our
Where you
bad
at?
signal.
Alex.
Alex Mayer.
Do it like a bad signal.
Headline number 2, legendary Spurs head coach Greg Popovich is stepping down from coaching and will become San Antonio's president of basketball operations. What's the real headline?
No pressure on the next guy.
Good luck, buddy. You're following Nick Saban. That's what this feels like. 1,422 wins to 869 losses, 170 playoffs wins. Most by a coach with one team, third most overall, 3-time coach of the year, gold medalist. There have been 303 coaching changes since Pop entered the league, 5-time national champion, and just the father of the half-court offense. He created the ultimate team with Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Bruce Bowen. I believe my homie Robert Orr even played with them for a little bit. He's just he's a class act, man, and he's a presence that you feel on the sideline. Curtis and I were talking about how you just don't get get that anymore
Yeah.
in the NBA. Most coaches just roll with what their superstar says. So he's I'm glad he's not going away from basketball. He's been such a big part of my basketball life, even though when we first got Shaq in 99, 98, they swept us in the first round. That wasn't good for my health as a 12-year-old or 13-year-old. But I learned a lot from Pop, man, and that's the way. When I go to like a 24-hour fitness or LA Fitness and I see the old heads on the court, they play like the Spurs. That's the way. That's the way the game's supposed to be played, like the Spurs played it.
If I were to ask the two of you, which team has the best setup where like they're going to be growing, stepping forward over the next 3 years? Would the Spurs be in that conversation? What other teams might be?
Spurs are in it. OKC
I was
is
going to say I'm not going to like one of these answers.
OKC
and it
is
might start
in
this
that
year,
mix
unfortunately.
for sure. Minnesota is in that mix. Believe it or not, Orlando has a great piece in Banchero over there. They got to get that man some help. But they have the center pieces, and I like some of the names that were mentioned because, I mean, Minnesota just won a playoff series in back-to-back years for the first time in franchise history.
Aw.
So they're doing some things, man. Young
That was
talent.
nice of you guys.
Stand up.
That was actually, you
we
were
gotta
helping another
help 'em out.
team.
Gotta help the youth.
That was thoughtful.
Hey, we lost because LeBron tore or had an MCL sprain
Now.
in Game 5. So
Now,
that's why we lost. That's why we lost.
What's next?
Headline rewrites.
Headline 3, the dad of Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton, John Halliburton, has agreed to stay away from the team after getting into it with Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo earlier this week. What's the real headline?
A devastating blow for helicopter parents everywhere.
What do you mean he agreed? You had no choice. Ain't no agreeing. They sent you a letter and said, listen, sir, you are no longer allowed to be around this team. The Indiana Pacers have a decent team, and we want to keep the vibes good. And helicopter parents, man, let your kids go. I have to remind parents on the sideline. Like, I'm a quiet guy on the sideline. Like, I say something every now and then. I let the coaches coach, even if I don't agree with what they're doing. Look, I'm not there every day. I don't know their game plan. Just let your kids fail. Let them have success. Love them up in the car, and then ask the right questions so you start having those conversations. Now, when my son turned 14, now the conversation changes. Now it's like,
Sure.
all right, bro, you're a young man. Let's get after it. But, yeah, man, helicopter parents, just chill. Let them enjoy themselves.
Would I get you in trouble with someone in like a group of parents that might be listening if I asked you about the most egregious helicopter parenting you'd seen? Like maybe at like a little league game?
No. Here's the thing. There's some positions that I feel like need helicopter parenting during games. And one of them, especially when you're young, are goalies. Like, because the goalies in soccer, their parents kind of drift down to the side that they're defending, and they're there talking them through it because it's such a stressful position. You're going to fail and stuff. So those are fine because I feel like the goalie kind of needs you at a young age. But no, in the most I see it is in soccer, though.
Yeah.
Soccer, it's like, goodness gracious. That's why I sit by myself in the corner with the hoodie on in 90-degree weather and just leave me alone. Let me watch.
Curtis, you were an ump for a while for
Sure was.
Little League Baseball. Did you ever have egregious helicopter parenting? Get into a fight with any parents?
There was one parent that came onto the field to dispute a call, and it was like, buddy, you are not a coach, you are not a player.
Did they immediately
back
like
to those
get in your face
bleachers.
and start yelling, or did they come out like, hey, I got a question about this?
They didn't get too close, but they definitely crossed like the baseline, and it was just like, who even are you, sir? There are those bleachers right there. Go sit over there.
Who is you? You ever throw anybody out again?
No, never did.
No? Damn,
Teed
I
up
bet
a couple of kids in basketball, though.
That feels good, huh?
It does. Wow.
Yeah, T. Looking him right in his
Felt
eye,
like Dick
too.
Buffetta.
I do the slow, calm T, just nice and slow. Just boop.
You know
kid,
what? You know what's a
gotta do it.
really passive-aggressive technical foul call I've seen? I've seen somebody in the NBA do two fingers. T.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
It's
almost like they weren't going to. It was like a shh.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
You out here.
That's devastating. Just devastating. All right. Still to come. Just
devastating.
devastating. Still to come. We're gonna get back to what we felt was the most important part of Buster Olney's interview at 12:45. If you missed it, you will like this part of it. Jerry Dipoto was on MLB Network, and so we've got the latest from him. That happened during the show, right, Curtis? It's very, very new, so you probably haven't heard it. We've got some important injury updates, but also some good stuff. So that's coming up at 1:30, the latest from Jerry Dipoto in an interview with MLB Network. Before we get to that, taking a look around the NFL next.
Brock and Salk. Straight from Pierre, South Dakota, Brock. Gray, good morning. How are we feeling today?
Super excited to be a part of the Seahawks and the team that they do.
Are you still growing? Could we see a bigger Gray Zabel at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, big thing about gaining weight is just steaks and squats. That's all you got to do to put on pounds.
Steaks and squats.
Well, and you could go from bush light to butt heavy if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. A few extra carbs.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. When you're dealing with business owners and the idea that they owe money to the IRS and they feel like they might be letting their staff down and it just spirals out of control.
One thing I see with businesses, it's really tough because they have employees and maybe they're having a difficult time with the cash flow of the business. Then unfortunately, what a business often does is they quit making their payroll tax deposits, which is really about the worst thing you could be doing. I mean, it's a telltale sign if you're doing that. Hey, get someone that can help you kind of look at your business and see if things can be changed so that you can operate your business better and make those payroll tax deposits. Because let me tell you this, the IRS is on those right away.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, you have to call Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away? Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So what's that about?
So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Georgetown License reminds parents to enroll your kids in a positive youth program. Sports, hobbies, and community activities improve overall health and performance in school. These programs decrease drug use and violence and develop self-discipline and leadership skills. Let's team together this year to help our kids reach their full potential. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Georgetown License, taking care of all your vehicle and vessel licensing needs for over 30 years. Online at georgetownlicense.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Mike Salk here, and luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. And this summer, you can experience the breathtaking Cascade views, the world-class dining and entertainment, and elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Plus, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's award-winning outdoor summer concert series is back with amazing artists like Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and P.O.D. This summer, overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley, snocasino.com for tickets. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Before I get to the rest of our stories and NFL headlines, the Seahawks rookies went to, or were, I don't know if they were helping out at Starbucks or went to Starbucks. And then they had full details. The Seahawks tweeted this out just a second ago. Full details on Nick Emenwari's Starbucks order. You get matcha lattes.
I do.
Okay, so he gets an iced matcha latte, strawberry cold foam, a pump of syrup, a pump of hazelnut, a pump of brown sugar, a pump of caramel sauce, and a cup lined with caramel sauce.
Bruh.
I really tried.
It must pay to be 21, 22 years old.
Man, that's so much sugar and flavor and
I love sugar. Like, I'll get myself a sugary drink for sure once in a while, but it's the blending of the flavors. It's very experimental. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it and like be like, oh, I get it. Like, it's, like I can understand it, but I got lost. I got to matcha latte plus strawberry cold foam and the classic syrup. I got to that and I was like, okay. But then he lost me with the brown sugar caramel sauce.
Yeah, he just likes sweet stuff. He goes, anything sweet you got.
Put it all together.
Give me a pump of that and
He's probably
we're
one
good.
of those guys that goes to 7-Eleven, gets the big gulp, and gets one of all the like 30 flavors.
Yeah.
See, you really
Jungle
messed that up
juice.
once this is what he did. When people do that and they go and get all the flavors, but then they throw in the Coca-Cola flavor, that's when you lose me. It's one thing to mix all the fruits and you get blue raspberry with a little bit of lime, a little bit of whatever. It's like at that point it's just sugary, sweet, fruity. When you throw in something weird, like caramel, brown sugar, Coca-Cola, that's when you lose me.
Yeah, it ain't mixing. It ain't mixing.
No.
It ain't matching.
Anyways, on to more important stories.
I always
here.
feel a little self-conscious if my order on like a coffee order, like let's say somebody's going to get a group coffee order or a group sandwich order, is like more than 2 lines. It's like, okay, I'm being a bit extra here. I need to dial it back.
So mine is a little, not that long, but is a little picky. So I just place it on the mobile app because when I go to the window, I do the same thing where I feel like I'm being rude ordering my coffee, just verbally, instead of I just punch it into the app. You know what I mean?
Punch it in.
Yeah. Okay, I'm moving on. Where are things between the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson? Diana Rossini thinks both sides could patch things up.
I'm still getting really good vibes coming out of Cincy that they're going to try to get a deal done with Trey.
How? Is the money growing trees over there?
They seem to be trying to move money and get creative with finding ways to get Trey the money.
Is he going to take a hometown discount?
How can you look at this and think he's not going to? And I'm sure his side, if they heard this right now, they'd tell me to shut up. We're not taking a hometown discount.
Yeah. But you're realistic. Mostly.
But I think he wants to be there. They want him there. Stuff could happen. I get it.
Joe Burrow wants him to be there.
Who's the most important person in Cincinnati? I think we figured it out pretty quickly here. We knew it a while ago. But I think this really doubles down that, with Burrow being adamant about them bringing him back. Chase, Higgins, and him, they're going to want to keep Joe happy.
Bump, I kind of had the same reaction, which is, well, how? With what money? You've made T. Higgins the highest priced number 2 receiver. Jamar's the highest priced receiver. Joe Burrow's one of the highest paid quarterbacks. And you're going to pay Trey Hendrickson what he wants? Something tells me Trey isn't going to get what he actually wants.
Yeah, they got about $25 million in cap space right now. And Trey is going to be asking around 18 to 20 million, I would assume. But there are always ways to do it, man. Your signing bonus, you can spread it out throughout the contract. There are ways to do it. Come on, we saw the Saints just truck off a whole bunch of money the last few years and still put a team out there. We saw a few teams do it, but no, you got to get this done, man, because that defense wasn't great last year, and they're not going to be anything this year without one of the best pass rushers in the game. So get creative. Figure it out. Make it enough.
Buccaneers GM Jason Light told Pat McAfee the kinds of players his team tries to avoid. I like this conversation when drafting players.
5 years ago, we weren't having the success I wanted in the drafts. We kind of had a powwow, got together, just all of us, the whole staff, talking about what are the picks that have made it? What are the picks in the history of the Bucs and that have made it and were big-time players? And you know, it was the person. We're rarely missing on the player. We're missing on the person. And what are these qualities of a person that made them successful? And we came up with it. We came up with a little slogan. John Spytek was a part of this too. It was called "I Am That Man." It's a quality that we're looking for, and it's really not that hard. You know, we put the players that are worthy of being drafted on the draft board, like every team does. But then we just kind of take the off, and guys that don't love football and guys that have proven that they don't like it, they're difficult to deal with, and we just kind of mitigate our risk. We're taking great players that are great humans.
What do you think of his answer, and who would you take off your draft board? Like, what kind of player would you be like, nope?
I would take off, I mean, it's the same kind of scenario that we've heard about, like how you treat the janitor, how you treat the person who cannot benefit you at all. So if you are a person that doesn't treat everyone with the same type of respect, I take them off the draft board unless you are like the greatest quarterback I've seen of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to deal with some of that. But no, I think that's a smart way to go about it, because the better person typically lasts in the league a bit longer because of the way they move. You can trust them off the field. But it's hard to turn down some talent, man. You think LT was the greatest person when he was coming out of college?
Nope.
Probably not.
Nor when he was in the league, nor when he left.
Exactly. So there are exceptions to every single rule. And you just have to roll the dice and hope that it works out for you.
Yeah, I think I would not take off automatically a player that had legal issues. It would obviously depend on what the legal issues were, and more importantly would be, what did you do after? Like, you got in trouble at school. Let's say that you were speeding, or you know, I don't know, did something dumb when you were like 18 or whatever. And did you then make the mistake again, or did you commit to improving and improve? Like, how did you recover from making a bad decision?
When I was in college, I got in trouble and the Seahawks asked me about it. When I was in college.
So no one knew, but the Seahawks found out?
They found out. Like, the judge told me if I were just on good behavior for 90 days, she'll erase this from my record and I'd be good to go. And the Seahawks found it and asked me about it. Essentially, I used my, it's nothing too crazy. I used my buddy's ID to get into one of the bars out there. And we kind of looked alike, and they snatched me up. They took my ID. I had to go to court, and the judge was like, "Look, you've never been in trouble.
Yeah.
Just be good for 90 days, and you'll be good to go." I'm like, "Cool." 90 days pass. I don't check in, and when I started the recruiting process, I guess for the NFL, the Hawks asked me about it. Like, what happened? They set the date. Why'd you have to go to court? And I was like, heck yeah. I'm like, hey, nobody's supposed to know about this.
What did you say?
And I told them the truth. Like, man, I was a sophomore trying to get into a bar, used my buddy's ID.
Yeah.
They caught me up, and it was all good.
Honestly, though,
all right, thanks for being honest.
I was going to say, probably what they're looking for is, like, will he admit to it? Will he cop to it? Will he say, like, no, it was really stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't done it again. Or will he say, like, where'd you hear that?
Yeah. And I was like, dang, y'all found that?
Wow. Man, detectives over here.
Right.
Let's talk about, I like this cut. Giants wide receiver. I think you will too, Bump. Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors broke down with Carmelo Anthony why he thinks wide receivers are the biggest divas on a football team.
We don't like not getting the ball, especially like, okay, cool. We done ran about 100 routes in a week. We done watched the film on the DB. We done learned the plays that we want to call. These coaches is telling us, we're going to call this on this down. We're going to call this when we get to this formation. You're going to score off this play. Not only are we watching film, they watching film also. So we got a qualities when we go into the game. Oh, I'm about to score. You know, it's not often for a receiver to score that much. A running back might score 20 times a game. He can go on the 1 yard line and rush it in from that. We can't. We got to put that ball in the air, do something. And you told me I was going to get the ball. I'm getting open, and I'm not getting that pill. We got a problem.
Malik Neighbor is not shying away. He said, you have a point. We are incredibly dramatic, and here's why.
Yeah. So look at Jamar Chase. He had 175 targets, 17 games played, roughly 10 targets per game. That's the best of the best. So now let's go down to maybe McLaurin, who still had 1,000 yards, 117 targets. It just, the opportunities to make plays just aren't frequent when it comes to wideouts. And center's got to snap, line's got to protect, QB has to throw the football. There are a lot of things that we are waiting on. That's why a lot of us are divas, but there are receivers who aren't divas as well. But when you're considered one of the best in the game, and right now you would have to put Malik Neighbors up there. Mm-hmm. Heck yeah, you want the ball, and you better demand the ball. But it's just we get a bad rap, but I understand.
I think that some receivers are exceptional divas. Tell me if I'm wrong with this percentage. I'm going to say 65% of receivers are a middling diva. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you're not Beyonce, but it's like a Michelle level of diva where you're like, I am part of Destiny's Child, but I'm not going to command that you constantly pay attention to me. And then there's like, right, and right. I would say that of all the position groups, the smallest fraction of receivers are not divas.
The smallest.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't agree, because there's so many receivers in the league. There's way more receivers than any other position rather than maybe offensive linemen.
And so many of them are divas.
The top guys are. The other guys are like, look, man, I'll take my 1 or 2 targets.
Fair. We're going to go back what we felt was the most exciting part of our interview with Buster Olney. Mariners fans, you're going to want to hear this. And then we're going to get to the Seahawks odds to win the NFC West coming up at 1. Don't go anywhere.
Brock and Salk, straight from Pierre, South Dakota. Brock, Gray, good morning. How are we feeling today?
Super excited to be a part of the Seahawks and the team that they do.
Are you still growing? Could we see a bigger Gray Zabel at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, big thing about gaining weight is just steaks and squats. That's all you got to do to put on pounds.
Steaks and squats. Well, and you could go from Bush Light to Bud Heavy if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. A few extra carbs.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey friends, it's Stacy with a little bit of inside info. I know there are a lot of local business owners listening right now, so this message is for you. Wayscar Ford is running great pricing on all of their commercial vehicles, trucks, Super Duties, Isuzu FTRs, and box trucks. The bigger, the better, and they have a ton of them. New and used models, a ton of 2025 models. I'm on their site right now. Here's one, $11,000 off, another for $19,000 off. Wayscar Ford just expanded their heavy truck shop, and there are a ton of opportunities. They're looking for mechanics, so if anyone listening has heavy truck experience, join a wonderful company at a dealership that's been in Auburn for 103 years. Take advantage of the amazing inventory and deals they have right now. Commercial sales and service for both Ford and Isuzu. It's a great option for people, for families, and now business owners. I'm a proud customer, and I know you will be too. Wayscar Ford Isuzu in Auburn, wayscarford.com.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Roof now, pay later. No payments until 2027. 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Since 1968, we've helped homeowners just like you get beautiful, durable roofs without breaking the bank. Book today and lock in summer pricing before it's too late. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Lake Washington Windows and Doors makes it easy to enjoy new windows with clean glass technology now and defer paying for them until 2026 with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Visit lakewashingtonwindows.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 855. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Kinematics Marine Equipment reminds parents to enroll your kids in a positive youth program. Sports, hobbies, and community activities improve overall health and performance in school. These programs decrease drug use and violence and develop self-discipline and leadership skills. Let's team together this year to help our kids reach their full potential. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Kinematics Marine Equipment, your nationwide source for marine deck gear for over 40 years. Online at kinematicsmarine.com.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
It's time for a girls' night out back. Australia's Thunder from Down Under Temptation Tour is hitting Galaxy at Muckleshoot, June 5th through 7th. Tight abs, ripped bodies, and moves so hot you'll need a cold shower after. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com and feel the thunder. June 5th through 7th, only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
This is Chris Davis with the Davis Law Group. Did you know that a pedestrian does not have to be crossing the street on a marked crosswalk to have a successful legal claim against the driver? Pedestrians can even be partially at fault for a collision and still have a valuable claim. Call us today for a free consultation or get my free book on pedestrian accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Buster Olney of ESPN was on with us to begin this hour, and we learned a lot from Buster. He talked about what he's seeing from the Mariners offense, his feelings on Julio, especially on Edgar's influence behind the scenes with both the Mariners offense and Julio individually. One thing that he talked about really stood out to us, though. And it was him talking about the American League as a whole.
In the time that I cover baseball, I've never seen one league so much better than the other league. The National League is staggeringly better than the American League. If you are an American League team and you are leading your division as the Seattle Mariners are, you can paint, or even if you're in second place or third place, the league is generally down so much, you can paint a reasonable path to playing the World Series. The National League is like the Justice League, Superman, Batman teams, the Flash. I mean, they are just stacked with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Mets, the Phillies. The American League team is the land. The American League is the land of opportunity.
And think about that for just a minute. Buster Olney, who has covered MLB for years, is well connected, knows a ton about this league, said never before has he seen the discrepancy, the disparity right now between the National and American leagues.
Yeah, and he also said the AL West is the land of opportunity, which I like to hear. But that also means that it's the land of opportunity for everyone else as well, because you only got 2 games on Houston, the Athletics, and 3 on the Rangers, and obviously the Angels at the bottom at 6. But, no, it makes sense when you look at what the NL has done throughout the course of the offseason and years before to kind of build these teams. So I'm glad the Mariners are where they are. In the AL, where you have more of a chance. You got some top dogs over there, obviously the Yankees or whatnot. The Detroit Lions, who are surprising a bunch of people this year with how they've been performing. Yeah, Detroit, the Tigers.
The Detroit Lions surprising a ton of people with the fact that they're playing baseball
they're
now.
playing baseball.
And they're balling.
The Detroit Cats, I'm just going to call every Detroit team or baseball.
No, we
and
did
basketball.
decide every Detroit team is the Lions,
they are
to
the
be
Lions.
fair.
But yeah, land of opportunity. I'm for that, especially with the injuries that the Mariners are dealing with.
Yeah, totally agree. Again, speaking of those injuries, we're going to get to the latest from Jerry Dipoto coming up in about 40 minutes. This is a new interview, and it includes some updates on Logan and George Kirby. Do not go anywhere. That's going to be at 1:30. So if you need to set an appointment to listen, make sure you do that. But sticking with what Buster said, we asked him, okay, well, let's talk about some of these other teams in the American League. Like when you're looking as a Mariners fan at well, who am I trying to leapfrog? Who's close to me? Who do I need to look over my shoulder at? Who do I need to make a run for? This is what he said.
The Rangers thought coming into this year that they were really going to hit. Jack Peterson went 21 days without a hit. Marcus Semion's been dropped into the middle of the lineup. We saw the Houston Astros in Sunday Night Baseball 2 weeks ago. Guys, it's not the same team because there's no Correa, no Springer. Yordan Alvarez doesn't have nearly the sort of support around him. So absolutely, if you're the Mariners, when healthy, they probably have the best starting pitching in the league. Their offense is, at the very least, comparable to some of the teams that they're going up against. And if they continue this production, if this is a sign of what's to come, Julio gets hot, yeah, you can paint a reasonable path into October and through October.
So if your natural reaction as a Mariners fan is to look at the first month of the season and go, I don't even want to get excited, Bump and Stacy, because I already know the Astros are going to win the division. Well, can you say that so confidently?
No, you can't. You can't say that. And I think that obviously we'll have a better idea when it comes around to summertime. But look, all you can ask for is to be in good position at this point. All right? You want to see some good baseball being played. You want to see some resilience, which we've seen. You want to see them win in multiple ways, which you pointed out a few times so far this season. Be in position, because where you are now doesn't mean that's where you're going to be at the end of the year. But if these guys were at the bottom and say they were comparable to the Angels and what they have going on, how would you feel at this moment of the season? You'd be like, here we go again. So I'm saying here we go again. There's a good April. Let's see if we get through May. But putting yourself in position to make a run into the summer is the most important part.
My mind definitely naturally goes to a place of, and I'll be completely blunt about this, like content. Like I feel like you probably do the same. You watch a season, like let's say the one the Mariners are having. One half of you is just a sports fan. You're watching, you're having thoughts about the game, bullpen decisions, enjoying good plays, critiquing bad ones. And then the other half of you is thinking, what does the outcome of this game mean for this show? What does the outcome mean for what I want to do, what conversations I want to have? It's just naturally where your brain goes. I'm not going to lie. I like the stories evolving out of this season. Not only is it, how are the Mariners going to overcome these injuries? Boom, obstacles, fun story. Is the Mariners' offensive surge real? Boom, a question we don't know the answer to and we can discuss all day. I love both those conversations, but now it's, what if we go months into the season and no one in the American League has separated themselves? What's that trade deadline look like? How aggressive could the Mariners get?
I feel like they would have to be aggressive at the trade deadline. They were last year. And that was after having a 10-game lead and having that thing dwindle away, and then you're fighting for your life. So they've shown that if there is some belief in the lineup, that they are willing, at least going off of last year, they're willing to go out there and make a move for the best bat. Will it have to be the best bat? Will it have to be another arm? Defensively, who knows? Because what this team is now isn't necessarily what they're going to be when it comes down to the trade deadline. But I'm more confident in that than I am with them making big offseason moves, because – and again, we always go back to Robbie Ray, and we go back to the Castillo move years ago, okay. But recent history has told us that if they believe in this lineup, they'll go and try to add. And they have to be patting themselves on the back right now. They have to be looking at what Polanco's doing and say, we told you, when he's healthy, he's good to go.
Yeah.
They have to be looking at Randy and his clutch moments and saying, this is the power bat that we need. They have to be looking at some of the guys that they brought up and saying, they might be able to hold it down for a little bit. So if you feel good about your decision-making when it comes to personnel, the lineup or whatnot, you have to feel good about what you potentially can do at the trade deadline, because you did it last year. And as of now, you're looking at a team that's in position to hang in there and be in the fight when it comes to the AL West.
Again, I know it's too early to figure out what specific things about the Mariners are real, but it is not necessarily too early to look at both leagues, especially since part of it kind of lingers in from last season, and go, man, is there a difference in how crowded one league is compared to the other. Because you've got now like a little bit of time behind this, right? This is kind of how last year was, with a couple AL races kind of still down to the final days, whereas it was clear in some National League divisions what was happening and where. So, look, I know it may not be fun in theory to be in a class full of C students when you're a C student, but I'd rather be there knowing that I can be in first place, knowing that I could win, knowing I could be competitive in my division, than looking in a class where I'm looking up at the rest of the NL West. You know what I mean? Like, you're just looking, going like, how do you beat the Dodgers? How are you better than some of these other teams in the National League that are just not only outspending everyone, the Mets, but just have star power that you don't? Like, and imagine being in that league. I mean, I know you don't need to imagine very hard. You don't have to. That's the best part. You don't have to be in that league. And also it's look, all you want is an invite to the party. You get an invite to the party, anything can happen. I mean, how many times have we seen the best team on paper actually follow through and win the World Series? I guess we saw it last year with the Dodgers. Yeah, but we were going back and forth with the Yankees and the Dodgers, talking about areas where the Yankees had the upper hand. And we also had been talking about the Braves being one of the better teams and falling out. The Phillies at times have fallen out. Like, there have been plenty of examples.
There's a huge amount of luck that has to happen as well.
Yeah.
So, look, you just get an invite to the dance, and you never know what can happen.
Anyways, great interview with Buster Olney, host of Baseball Tonight, which is a wonderful podcast. But you can also listen to Buster's Mariners-focused interview with us if you go back and download Hour 3 of the Bump and Stacy podcast. Coming up in the final hour of the show, the Seahawks have the second longest odds to win the NFC West. Why? We're also going to go over 4 football questions with Michael Bumpus. And at 1:30, the latest, including injury updates on Logan Gilbert from Jerry Dipoto, coming your way next.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
Nicky Manwari, how do you see them using him?
I think they'd love to put him at that second level. Does it allow them a little freedom, Salk, to put Spoon back outside a corner, right? Where you can have some real strength with Reek and him. And this dude around the line of scrimmage, cleaning stuff up on aisle 9. Yeah, man, there's a lot of excitement about just molding that kind of talent.
Blue 88, every day at 7:45. Answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO, Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant.
How much more?
Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at LegacyG.com.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
There's a sink at the brink and a drain that's a pain.
DayandNight.net.
The old throne's not too well, and ooh, does it smell?
DayandNight.net.
Slow drains, backed up toilet, is your main drain or sewer clogged? Hi, I'm Bruce, General Manager of Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Over the past 70 years, I think we've seen every drain clog out there. If your pipes aren't draining from a small fix to a major repair, our sewer and camera inspection will show exactly where the problem is. I promise you, our experienced technicians will find the issue, the right solution, and do it at a fair price. Give us a call or visit
DayandNight.net.
I guarantee whether Day and Night is your first choice or your smart second opinion, we'll work harder than anyone to earn your trust.
If you have a drain that's slow or clogged, call Day and Night. Now you'll save $50 off any drain cleaning. Slow or clogged drains? You know where to go.
DayandNight.net.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are starting a 6-game road trip that begins with a series against the Texas Rangers. First pitch is at 5:05 p.m. Pregame show starts at 4 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. I saw something that made me angry.
Did you?
No, it didn't really make me angry, but it made me go, oh, that's interesting. I bet people are angry about this. I saw some Vegas odds for the Seattle Seahawks, and there are obviously multiple sports books, so not every single one has them in the same spot, but I saw them no higher than third. Most of them had them as the second longest odds, so meaning favorite to finish in third place, with like maybe one had them behind the Cardinals, but more often than not, it's Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals. The most common odds that I saw for the NFC West. That the Rams are at the top doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise you. I know that. I'm sure it shouldn't surprise and doesn't surprise many Seahawks fans. But last time I checked, looking back at my Pro Football Reference page from 2024, I'm looking at a Seahawks team that finished with 10-7, like the Rams, was the only 10 or more win team to not make the playoffs and missed the playoffs in the NFC West crown by virtue of a fifth tiebreaker. I understand there are changes, and we're going to talk about them here. But, Bump, why is Vegas, why are odds makers, why are national folks so down on the Seahawks to compete for the NFC West?
I don't think they're down on them. I think that they feel the Seahawks have had the most change when it comes to some major positions. You got a change at the offensive coordinator spot. You have a change with your quarterbacks. You lost DK Metcalf, even though the Niners did ship Debo off. Your offensive line hasn't been the greatest. Last year, the 49ers were plagued with a bunch of injuries, right? You had a bunch of injuries. And I also think that they're looking at Brock Purdy as a more reliable quarterback than Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold was only done it for 1 year. It's all about who your quarterback is affiliated to, and he's affiliated, Brock Purdy, with Shanahan as well.
Sure.
They're also looking at the 49ers and seeing who's coming back as a D coordinator. You got Saleh over there. Also, who's coming back when it comes to personnel. You drafted Mykel Williams, right, a great edge rusher. You got Bosa coming back. You got Fred Warner coming back. You pick up Trey Brown. We know he is pretty good. So I think that they're looking at coaching, quarterback, personnel, and saying the Niners have a better chance of having a successful season because of those factors. It comes down to the offense, in my opinion. I think they don't know what the offense is going to look like. So I'm not even mad at this. I think it makes sense to me in a way, because the reputation of the 49ers and what they've been the last, 5 to 6 years. And then just their personnel on offense, right? There's no Debo Samuel. You still got Christian McCaffrey. You still got Brandon Ayuk, who's a better receiver than Debo Samuels. Jawan Jennings was a sneaky good receiver last year. Ricky Parcell is ready. That kid is going to be great in this league.
After getting shot, which is crazy.
After getting shot. You got George Kittle, who's still the best tight end in the game. You still got Trent Williams on the line. He's getting long in the tooth, but he's still there. Personnel-wise, they got us when it comes to guys who are proven that they can play in this league. So I'm not mad. I'm like, all right, let's play this thing out and see what happens.
Okay, so let's play it out in this conversation. And my task for us is going to be, after I talk about why it totally makes sense for me too, and what the last couple years' odds and final records were for the Seahawks, I want us to explore how the Seahawks could make Vegas wrong. So we're going to take that angle, because I don't think anyone listening wants to hear what I'm about to say, which is like, here's why it kind of makes sense. I know that you guys are waiting for that 2-minute part of this conversation to get over, because you want to hear is me and especially Bump's analysis of like, here's why Vegas might be wrong, and here's why they really could surpass that. So I said that just based on the virtue of you've had winning records in 9 of the last 10 seasons. It's why I can rarely find anyone that has the Seahawks in 4th place.
Yeah.
Most odds makers, most critics, most people who aren't even diehard NFL fans still at least know that the Seahawks aren't an objectively bad team. Unfortunately for the Arizona Cardinals, they're adding talent. They could be being more competitive. They quietly had some moments last season, but they have 2 winning seasons in the past 10 years. So that different history means that the Seahawks are going to be favored over the Cardinals. Check. Even though the 49ers had a worse record and a worse performance last season, to your point, they have a lot of talent. And they and the Rams have the track record of having been to a Super Bowl, and the Rams having won one twice, not win twice, but both have been to 2 Super Bowls with 1 win between them since you have last been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks have not played them out of a conversation about, well, which teams could surprise. But I don't think it's anti-Seahawks or East Coast bias to say that they've played themselves out of being in a contender conversation. You've got 6 playoff appearances since you last went to a Super Bowl, and you have 3 wins all in the wild card round. Let's get to the better part of the conversation. How could they prove Vegas wrong? So, Bump, if Vegas has them as favorites to finish in 3rd with over/under 7.5 wins, what might they not be seeing with the Seahawks team?
They're not seeing what we haven't seen at the same time. Sam Darnold play another season and look like a not elite, but above average quarterback in this game. That's what it comes down to. Forget what you think about Brock Purdy. You've seen him look like a really good quarterback. I don't care what system he's in. He still has thrown for 4,200 yards in 1 year, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Last year, down year a little bit, right? 65 completion percentage, 3,820 touchdowns. You've seen him operate in this offense for 2.5 years now, 9 games in 2022 where he completed 67%, 13. He's had 64 touchdowns, 27 interceptions, and career-wise is completing 65% of his passes in this offense. And when healthy, he makes it look easy. So I think that's what they haven't seen. They haven't seen that type of quarterback play from Sam Darnold in this system. They haven't seen Kubiak in this offensive coaching staff develop this offensive line. They haven't seen what Zabel can do. They haven't seen the Seahawks utilize their tight ends and bring a fullback back there and do their thing. That's what it comes down to, in my opinion. Just like you mentioned, they've seen the Niners do their thing. They've seen the Rams do their thing. And we all know what the Cardinals have been over the past, decade or so. So that's what it comes down to. There's no way, unless the Seahawks brought over Aaron Rodgers, and then on the offensive line, brought over the best available offensive lineman, and then brought in a veteran receiver who still has some juice in their eyes. There's no way they're going to put the Seahawks in front of the 49ers.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks, no matter that the Seahawks finished with the more wins to the 49ers, same amount of wins as the Rams, I think that fairly people outside of Seattle are still seeing that there was a talent gap, that the Rams had the same amount of wins, but I don't think, Eric Williams was just on with us, who knows the Rams and Seahawks well. I don't think the Seahawks give the Eagles a run for their money the way the Rams did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that there's still kind of a gap to close. And part of that gap was accentuated when the Rams managed to turn losing Aaron Donald into this really young, exciting defensive line. Maybe Seattle does a version of that. I don't know what it would look like. I don't know what it would be. But maybe they're able to quickly develop talent at a side of the ball or in a position group faster than anyone expected. The conversation about the Rams going into the season, which I know for a fact was happening on multiple NFL podcasts that I listened to, and fairly, was, man, this offense is going to be electric. How awesome. If only they can stay healthy. Defense has questions. They're all so young and inexperienced. And then it turns into Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation, Defensive Player of the Year conversation.
And the Rams got better at the wideout spot.
Yeah.
I know Devontae is over 30 as well, but he doesn't have the injury history that Cooper Kupp has, and his game is suited for longevity. I think Cooper Kupp can still be a good receiver for years to come, but just the way Devontae plays will allow him to be a factor as long as he is healthy. And you have Matthew Stafford over there. You know, you have a guy who is the best quarterback in this division right now. He's the best quarterback, and we all know your team goes as your quarterback goes. And then let's not forget about the head coach conversation. You have one of the best head coaches in the game in McVay. In McVay, you have one of the best head coaches in offensive minds. In Shanahan, you have one of the best head coaches in offensive minds. And Macdonald, he's still trying to prove himself. I think he can be. I think that time will tell. But that's what the offseason and preseason is all about. It's all about projecting and predicting and going off what you saw last year and what you think these guys can do. When you don't have a long track record in Mike Macdonald and you don't have guys offensively who have shown for years that they can do it, naturally there's going to be questions.
So what player, what position group on Seattle has a chance, like the Rams defensive line or defense did last year, to give the NFL the wow, you really thought award? Congratulations, you really thought, but you were wrong. Who are we looking at where we go, look, I'm not promising it's going to happen, but this running back group or this defensive line or Devin Witherspoon, I'm not promising it's going to happen, but I think he could surprise a lot of people.
I would have to go with Olu. I think Olu has to be that you thought, has to be that you slept on me, because you're not going to find a veteran center right now that you're going to put over him. Jalen Sundell is going to compete with Olu. We're hearing that. I understand that. I get that. But we're looking at what they're going to do at the guard position. You know, it has to be whoever plays opposite guard of Gray Zabel, honestly. It's Olu and whoever the left guard is. We'll see where they put Gray. It could be left, it could be right, whatever. Because you got Anthony Bradford over there and Lyle May and Christian Haynes as a third backing up over there. We'll see what happens. It all starts with that O-line, man, because I think the combination of talent that they have with the additions of Arroyo and then Kupp and MVS, you have the right type of player to make this offense explosive or just to make it flow and look good. Now can these pieces all work together? Can personnel work together? Defensively, man, I'm not too worried.
No.
I think the addition of DeMarcus Lawrence is great. Leo's going to do his thing. The second level is good. The secondary, maybe you add a piece there, but no, I'm not too worried.
Do you think there's a single analyst out there who thinks Sam Darnold will have a better year as a starter with Seattle than he did last year for Minnesota? A single analyst out there?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either, and I'm including myself in that group.
You don't have the same weapons either. You don't have the same weapons.
But what if we're wrong?
I hope we're wrong. I hope we're wrong, but I think
I feel like it's bad football analysis to think I'll be wrong about that, but what if we are?
I think honestly, I don't think we are. I think that's as good as it gets last year with the Vikings, because Kevin O'Connell was able to get into the mind of Sam Darnold and make him see the game and play the game in a way that he hasn't done at this level. Kubiak's a different kind of guy. Does he possess the same skills? We'll see. Maybe he does possess the same skill. Maybe him and Sam Darnold do hit it off and they're seeing the game the same way, and he's able to execute. We shall see, but you don't have you don't have Justin Jefferson over there.
Yeah.
You don't have
Addison.
I mean, just the personnel is so great in that group, offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Vikings, too, man, they got to replace their DC, right? No, Flores is still there. Never mind. I think it's just two totally different situations. Similar offenses. I think that's what keeps me optimistic that he could play something like he did last year, because the offenses are the same. But, man, if he were to, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions again this year,
I agree.
we go into the playoffs. If he goes 35-12.
The Sam Darnold conversation is a really interesting one to me, because while I think that this team surpasses Vegas's odds total or win-loss total by being better with the run, being better up front, and being great defensively, like that's how they get the job done. I do wonder what Sam Darnold can do, and more importantly, can prove to people. I see Sam Darnold as a bridge quarterback. I might be wrong, but I'm just being honest about how I see him. But I also understand that neither me nor any single person I know, unless someone's hiding a big secret, knows the future. So I recognize that things in the NFL can always surprise us, that typically people are right. Like, typically odds makers are pretty close to being right. If you really, I know that we can all point to 2022 when they predicted the Seahawks would have over under 5.5 wins. Seattle ends up being a playoff team, right? And Geno has a comeback player of the year. I get it. We can all point to the moments when the NFL, the moments when critics, the moments when Vegas got it wrong. Most of the time they kind of know, like they're pretty good at predicting it. You have to have something unexpected. And something surprising. I'm just wondering, what's the surprise this year? What if it's Darnold? I don't know.
That would be the best surprise. That would be the greatest surprise if Sam Darnold were able to duplicate that. I mean, he surprised me a couple of hours ago when I went back and watched all his rushes from the last couple of years, and I'm like, man, my man is moving. I didn't think you had that in you, Sam Darnold.
I didn't know your game. I wasn't familiar.
If he could surprise by opening up different pages in the playbook when it comes to using his legs, or if he can just be extremely confident throwing the football down the field, that would be the best surprise for this team.
Someone said, would you place a bet on the over for Seahawks wins? They are at 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
I would.
We would never tell anyone to gamble, and you shouldn't. However, I will let you know that Vegas favors the over. So I think that this is something where odds makers / critics recognize that Seattle has typically outperformed expectation, but they also aren't high on what their ceiling is.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe they get 9 wins. Maybe they get 10. They're not beating the Rams. I think that's kind of how they're seen right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Someone said, when are you talking baseball? Oh, buddy. Just you wait 15 minutes. We got the latest from Jerry Dipoto. And when I say the latest, we got that new. And I'm talking to that new Dipoto just dropped.
New Dipoto dropped.
And you're going to want to hear what he says about Logan Gilbert. All right, first down. Who's a UDFA that you'll be following this offseason?
UDFA, my man Desmond Watson. He is a big individual. He weighed 464 pounds when he was picked up out of the University of Florida, and he was the heaviest player in the NFL at that time. He says he's dropped 27 pounds. I'll call him that good double wide trailer. Ain't nothing like a good double wide trailer, right? Got you some land, you put that thing on it, you good to go. What? It reminds me of Big X the Plug. If you know anything about Houston rap, Big X the Plug, I'm pretty sure you've heard some of his music, Stacy.
Of course.
I'll introduce you to him later.
Big X?
Big X.
I'm a huge
the
fan.
Plug.
Big
the
X,
biggest,
Big
the
X,
largest.
The Plug. Now, if I Google this on a work computer.
You'll be fine. He'll be shirtless, but you'll be fine.
Okay.
I love just following the journeys of some guys, especially undrafted free agents, and this is a big one because when people were talking about the tush push and how do you stop it, you say personnel, you get massive human beings, and that's exactly what Desmond Watson is. So I'm excited for this young man. We'll see if he makes it through training camp and on the roster, maybe even a practice squad, but you don't find bodies like this. He's dropped 27 pounds, so you do the math. He's down a bit. But, yeah, another name for you to watch and just see his journey, Desmond Watson.
And did I spell Big X the plug right? Yes.
Did you really?
No, I did not.
What'd you put? EX? Big EX?
I said Big X the THE plug. All separate words.
They good.
Don't worry about it.
We'll get you there.
Second down. Who do you think can have one of the better backfields in 2025?
All right, hear me out. You guys might think I'm crazy with this one, but the reason why I think this team can have one of the better backfields is because of what is going to happen on the outside, and we're going to Cincinnati. Chase Brown and Taj Brooks. Brooks was is a rookie running back out of Texas Tech. When I called the game against Texas Tech, it was Wazoo against Texas Tech. I was excited that he wasn't playing. Now, I wish he was healthy. I don't like guys being banged up, but I knew what he brought to the table. And Taj Brooks is a beast out there. 5'10", 230 pounds. My dude runs hard. And the reason why I think him and Chase Brown can be a nice little combo is because they're different type of backs, but they're disciplined backs. And because we know the pass game is going to be ridiculous for the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of people are not going to be talking about this backfield. And they might not even be some of the top running backs in the game when it's all said and done, but I think that they won't have to be. All they need to do is get into the red zone and pick up these first downs. Last year, the Bengals were third to last when it comes to rush yards per game. I think they're going to get somewhere near the middle. They're going to be around 15, 16, and that's going to be good enough to help the Cincinnati Bengals offense because you know what Joe can do. You know T. Higgins, and you know Jamar Chase.
That was a surprising answer, I will say. Third down. Who's a veteran wide receiver, now a free agent, you think could really help a young wide receiving core?
Nothing like a veteran. And Keenan Allen is a name that I'm waiting to see where he lands. He's, 33 years of age. Spotrac has him at his market value around $11 million per year. And I think that if you have a young group of receivers and you want them to learn to be a pro and all that good stuff, you take a look at him. You got the teams with the most cap space. You got New England, who just picked up Stephon Diggs, so not very young over there. You do have Kyle Williams, who's projected to be their number 2 receiver. You have Las Vegas, who's next up with the most cap space. You have Tennessee, which I could see a situation happen over there with him. You have San Francisco, Dallas, Seahawks, Pittsburgh, and Tampa Bay to Arizona. Those are the top 10 guys. But he's a guy who will be picked up late. If he wants to play football, he will be picked up late around training camp possibly or in the summer when guys get banged up. This is football. Guys go down all the time. But Keenan Allen still got some juice. He's never been a guy who's going to run by you, and I think that helps him be more attractive later on in his career because you know what he brings to the table. He's still a shifty guy, knows how to move people, great hands. Keenan Allen is a receiver that a young group could use.
Fourth down. Speaking of winning the NFC West reporter for Fox Sports, Eric Williams, joined us earlier in the show. Anything stand out from that conversation?
Yeah, man, he had me shook low-key.
He sure did.
He said, Sam Darnold, man, he can run. I'm like, Eric, you sure? But you do cover the division. Let me go see what's going on. And Sam Darnold has 972 yards rushing and 14 career touchdowns throughout his career, along of 46, along of 30. So not only did I go and check the stats out, I went and I watched about 20 of his runs. And I told myself, my bad, Sam. I did not know you could do that. My man can move a little bit. Nothing great. I'm not saying he's a mobile quarterback, but he allows you to, if he catches you in man and you send a blitz and he evades it, he can pick up a first down.
Yeah.
Better than what I thought. It's like him and Geno are kind of the same. Like Geno can kind of run. You know, he's good enough to run, but you don't expect him to do that. That's kind of where Sam Darnold is here. And I think that's this is a trait that most quarterbacks need these days. And I was happy to see it because I thought I was going to turn on the film and be like, man, Eric, what you talking about? Let me text him on the side and get more eval from him. But no, he's absolutely right. So we'll see if they use his legs like that.
I was a tiny bit surprised by Eric's answer to our first question, which was, hey, we were having a debate about Russell Wilson, whether or not the team should retire his jersey and whether or not he's a Hall of Famer. Yesterday, what do you think, Eric? And Eric said, yes, they should retire his jersey, but no, he hasn't seen enough to say he's a Hall of Famer. Like, he needs to add more. And if you haven't seen enough from Russell Wilson yet, he's just not a Hall of Famer because I think he's a Hall of Famer, but Russell Wilson is not going to add to that resume. Like, I truly believe Russell Wilson is done. He's not going to be able to add. There's nothing he's going to be able to prove, particularly not with the Giants. Maybe I'm wrong in eating crow in 10 months, but I don't think I will be. So it's either you do or don't right now think he is. So Eric doesn't think he is. You don't. You think it's borderline, but probably no.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, yeah, I can totally see the case. If I can see that, if you get someone like Phillip Rivers in the Hall, how is Russell Wilson's resume fundamentally worse than his?
It's not.
See?
I mean, Phillip got like 20,000 more passing yards, though.
Sure, but I mean, where's the ring? Like, how much do rings count for? How many people would say Eli Manning was an elite quarterback without his 2 Super Bowl wins?
He wasn't, but he beat Tom twice.
Yeah, he sure did. And he can brag about it. Do you want to hear some of the answers that I got from that poll on Russell Wilson, by the way?
Let me answer a question real quick.
Yeah.
So someone on the text line says, what are Geno's run stats compared to Sam Darnold? Geno has a few more years on Sam Darnold. Let's keep that in mind. But Geno has 1,400 yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, and a long of 34. Sam Darnold right behind him with less years, 972, 14 career more touchdowns, and a long of 46. So there's that.
That is better than I thought for Sam. I'm not going to lie. Which quarterback could the Seahawks have won that Super Bowl with? I should have phrased that Super Bowl season. Like you go 13-3, you win a Super Bowl. Not like just the Super Bowl in which I think maybe I could have been a quarterback. We have as answers, Colin Kaepernick was an answer. Someone said Cutler. Jay Cutler. Matt Flynn, absolutely not. I don't think so. Someone said Jimmy G. I don't know about some of these answers.
I mean, Jimmy G did play in a Super Bowl.
Jimmy G, no.
He did play in the Super Bowl.
The Seahawks are not going 13-3 with Jimmy G at quarterback.
You know what I said? I said Sam Bradford, baby. Stay healthy.
Which is it? If he stayed healthy, I think that's absolutely possible. I don't know. There's a couple names where I was even poor Jay Cutler. I didn't mean for him to catch strays, but I did raise an eyebrow at the Jay Cutler one.
Jay Cutler had extreme talent. It was other things that kind of jacked him up.
That's true. Let's see what's on tonight.
What's on tonight with Bump and Stacy, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot. Now, here's what's on tonight.
The first place Mariners start their road trip tonight in Texas. Pregame starts at 4 p.m. First pitch at 5:05 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports. The latest from Jerry Dipoto, including injury updates on George Kirby and Logan Gilbert, coming your way next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Nick Ebenwari is with us. Nick, how are you, man?
Super blessed, super grateful, but yeah, I feel like I should have gone a little sooner, but I landed in the right spot ultimately. Had a great connection with them, so I'm glad I ended up going to the Seahawks. But in my notes, in my phone, like I kind of had like an NFL, it's personal list, so like that's a funny thing I for myself.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Live MMA takes over Muckleshoot Event Center Saturday, May 24th. Witness the heart-pounding action as the fiercest fighters step into the cage for an unforgettable night of stunning knockouts, merciless submissions, and pure adrenaline. You don't want to miss it. Get your tickets now at MuckleshootCasino.com.
Muckleshoot. Lake Washington Windows and Doors makes it easy to enjoy new windows with clean glass technology now and defer paying for them until 2026 with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
Bundy Carpets reminds parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Parents, please make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, text behind the wheel, or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or rideshare for a safe ride home. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Bundy Carpets, a second-generation family-owned business celebrating 50 years of serving Marysville. Online at bundycarpets.com.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery. so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said, but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Getting engaged? At Shane Company, dream engagement rings are our specialty. We have the most beautiful natural and lab-grown diamonds, hand-picked in every price range, ready to compare side by side. Shop online at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bail Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bailalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bail Alarm, we got you.
Dave Wyman here for my friends at Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for the past 23 years. I'm really excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my kind of people. I had Ray, Chris, and Nick out to my house just to see what they could do for us. You see, we've been in the same house for 24 years, and virtually every window in our home has a broken seal. Harley Exteriors has an exclusive high-quality Euro vinyl Olympic Series window manufactured right here in Washington, and these windows are designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty. It's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. Through April, buy one window and get the second for 40% off. Harley Exteriors are big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners, and I'm proud to be working with Ray, Chris, and Nick. It's a team you can get behind. Call 833-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
When an 18-wheeler ran a red light and took the life of a Tacoma man in 2021, his family trusted Davis Law Group to fight for them. And we recovered a $3.5 million settlement and held the trucking company accountable for his death. Accident victims have trusted Davis Law Group to win their case for the past 30 years. And hundreds of 5-star reviews from real clients are proof that we've earned that trust. Call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at washingtonaccidentbooks.com.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The latest from Jerry Dipoto, and when I say the latest, I mean this interview was today with MLB Network, and we got injury updates on Logan Gilbert and George Kirby. I know that that's what you guys care about the most, so I'm actually going to start with that, and then we're going to get to some of the other things here. So let's go to updates on Gilbert and Kirby. Here we go.
We're hopeful that we're going to see both this month, which is, a little better than we had thought initially. And George starts his rehab assignment. We believe it's going to take at least 2 minor league starts, perhaps 3. Logan's going to be a little bit behind that, but we think they're both going to return sometime before the end of May if everything goes the way it's currently planned.
I'm sorry. Sometime at the end of May. First of all, I was fully expecting, just like to be blunt, for Logan to potentially be done this year. Yeah. And now we're being told that Logan and George are going to be back sometime at the end of May or heading into June.
Yeah, that's the way my brain works too. I think of worst case scenario and say, okay, well, Evans, let's go. Emerson, let's step it up.
Next man up.
Now it's your turn to go. But the fact that you have the possibility of getting Logan back. Before he went down, it was like top 3 when it came to Ks. Didn't have the quality starts that we're used to seeing out of him or this group in general, but you know what it's like when you have your ace out there on the mound. So the strength of this ball club could be returning. So now it's just making it through this month if you're the Mariners and staying in the mix. But there's nothing like having Walter back on the mound with everything he's doing. It was I think it was Hyphen who told us that there was some foreshadowing to Logan's injury because he said he put the splitter away because it hurt for him to throw that. So I wonder what the conversations were like with Logan and the staff over there with him saying, look, I can't throw this splitter. Maybe we should chill. So, no, great news. I guess they saw this coming, or there was some foreshadowing that something was wrong with him. And the fact that they even thought that, he's coming back sooner than expected. It's great news for everybody, man.
It's also great that the offensive output has been what it has been, right? You want to talk about those injuries on pitching, and thank goodness this team is top 5 in a couple offensive categories, right? You're talking home runs, walks, obviously total runs. I think they're near there as well. Like they're just performing in not just a really effective way for a team that's had injuries to pitching and to the lineup for that matter, but also for a team that we were fully expecting a quiet April. We were out here back in February, March. We were talking about, like, what does a win in April look like? Be it close to 500? Like, I don't want to say we had low expectations, but we were like, don't fall out of it.
I told y'all what's going to look like. I said 5 games over.
And that was fair. Just don't fall out of being close to 500 was kind of our rule for April.
Yeah.
And here we are looking at a team in first place that's coming off of 7 series wins in a row. It is early, but Jerry Dipoto has some things to say about the offense. First, not surprising to him.
It's not that new. It seems shocking to see us behind the Yankees, ahead of teams like the Cubs, Dodgers, etc. But this has been going on with our team since August 1st of last year, roughly. It's, with the staff changes we made, the presence of Edgar Martinez, bringing on Kevin Seitzer and Bobby Magianis, just a mindset change with roughly the same roster of hitters. And it really changed the way we converted opportunities to runs. We've always created opportunity with walks. We've always hit homers, but we've never been a very good team at making contact in those big clutch situations, runners on base, runners in scoring position. We've always fallen short. And right now we're converting.
Was this always a team that had the potential to be a great offense, or did they change something?
That might be the realest quote I've ever heard from Dipoto.
Really?
Yeah, he pointed out we haven't been good at runners in scoring position. We have been good with hitting home runs. We've been good when it comes to walks, which they have been the past couple of years. Yeah, he's right. Now, does that mean that this was always in the making? Who knows? But he did point out some of the flaws, right? Because how many times have we looked at the stat with runners in scoring position and seen like 1 for 12, seen like 0 for 7, and now we're seeing 5 for 12. We're seeing 3 for 6, 3 for 7. So no, he's right. He's right, and I think that they've always been in position. And they also said you haven't had those clutch moments either. We've seen a bunch of clutch moments so far. We've seen JP, we've seen Randy, we've seen Julio, we've seen Cal, we've seen Williamson. That might be the realest quote I've ever heard from Jerry Dipoto. Granted, it's happening when this team is rolling right now. So it also hits different. It feels different. And, no, I think he's absolutely right when it comes to that. This team is doing a good job driving them in. You're hitting bombs. You're getting on base. For the most part, you're the top of your order isn't swinging at horrible pitches. There are a few guys who need some stuff to work on, but you're getting production out of Polanco, which you didn't expect. Maybe they did. You're getting production out of guys who are being called up. All right, Jerry, I'll be on your head a lot. This one, you're good, man.
It was foot on neck for a minute there.
Yeah, you good.
But let up a little bit. This is going to sound repetitive, but I think it's good to hear. It's Dipoto saying a lot of what you just did because you guys are seeing the same thing. But it is a good chunk of him just talking about what he's seeing with the offense.
Yeah, we feel like this is we're not doing things wildly different than we did before. We still pull the ball. We hit it out of the ballpark. We take our walks. We are doing a better job of making contact. We went from a borderline record-setting strikeout team to more middle of the pack, generally a league average-ish contact club. And I think that's a mentality of visualizing an approach where you're trying to hit a line drive through the center of the field. And that's something that our hitting coaches have preached since the day they walked through the door. Again, it's a mentality that Edgar and Seitz employed through the course of their major league careers. And it's the way our hitters think. I don't think it's really changed the trajectory of the ball off the bat for us, but it's changed how much we're waiting on the fastball, and we're not late, we're not missing, we're not chasing as often as we have in the past.
I'd love to not just listen to the conversations the front office has about, hey, how do we fix our strikeout problem the last 2 years, but to watch Edgar and Kevin kind of work with these guys, because you and I talked a ton last year when the Mariners were like either leading the league or second in strikeouts about the year prior, when the Twins had been leading the league in strikeouts and then cut that down. The Twins had their own solutions to that problem that involved more than just moving from strikeout-prone players, but part of their solution was getting rid of at least one or two players that were really, really leading the club in strikeouts. Well, maybe thank goodness Seattle didn't do that, because Jorge Polanco would have been one of yours last year, and this year he's your best bat. So I kind of want to know, okay, so you didn't really move on from a ton of personnel that was causing these problems. The guys that were striking out a ton are just genuinely performing better. That fascinates me.
They're playing better. I mean, when it comes to just squaring it up and getting the barrel on it, the Mariners are third in the league, 11.3% as a team. When it comes to the hard hit rate, they're like sixth in the league with 42.7%. He talks about pulling the ball. When you're pulling the ball, you're making great contact. You got Cal Raleigh, number 6 at 32%. You got Polanco at number 9 with 31%. All the things you need to do to be successful offensively when it comes to getting the bat on the ball, pulling it, being patient. He's talking about they're waiting for the fastball. It's all good decisions, because once you get up in that count, right, they have to throw you strikes. And what is the most common pitch thrown when you need a strike is a fastball. So they're waiting for their pitches. They're squaring it up. They're doing what they're supposed to do. It must be fun for Jerry to have this conversation. A
little bit of a victory
because
lap.
It's like, look, man, I told y'all, just chill for a little bit. We're going to figure some things out. So up to this point, I'm happy for him, because it buys him some time and gets people off of him, and I'm happy for everyone involved.
I think the thing we're all naturally wondering, and I can already see it on the text line, even though I can't literally see it on the text line right now because I have the lineup up that I'm about to read. I already sense that there are people going, well, it's April. It's April, it's April, it's April. Oh, you can't really read into it. Well, all you can do is talk about the things you are seeing, some stats that are interesting, trends that may still be trending or that are not, and then wait. You know what I mean? That's all you can do, and you don't have to wait long to see the next game. In fact, the pregame show starts at 4 p.m. First pitch is 5:05 against, as Bump mentioned, a struggling Rangers team. Lineup today: Crawford leading off, Polanco DH, Rodriguez, Raleigh, Arozarena, Tellez, Masterboni, Williamson, and Thomas in the right field. Wu, obviously, on the mound. Get your questions in for What I Need to Know, 866-979-3776.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
Nicky Manwari, how do you see them using him?
I think they'd love to put him at that second level. Does it allow them a little freedom, Salk, to put Spoon back outside a corner, right? Where you can have some real strength with Reek and him, and this dude around the line of scrimmage, cleaning stuff up on aisle 9. Yeah, man, there's a lot of excitement about just molding that kind of talent.
Blue 88, every day at 7:45. Answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
Mike Salk here, and luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. And this summer, you can experience the breathtaking Cascade views, the world-class dining and entertainment, and elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Plus, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's award-winning outdoor summer concert series is back with amazing artists like Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and POD. This summer, overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley, snocasino.com for tickets. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Attention!
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Looking for Mother's Day weekend plans? Well, take Mom out to T-Mobile Park for an unforgettable day of Mariners baseball. The team is squaring off in a 3-game series Friday, May 9th through Sunday, May 11th. And on Mother's Day, the first 10,000 moms will head home with a brand new clear structured purse, thanks to Muckleshoot Casino Resort. A Mariners game is the perfect place to celebrate with Mom and the whole family. Lock in your seats today at mariners.com/tickets.
I've always been an athletic guy, but after turning 40, I noticed I was slowing down. I booked a free testosterone check with Revive Health and learned that low T doesn't just impact my performance in the bedroom. I've been following a custom treatment plan ever since, and today I'm feeling stronger and more confident than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMensHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMensHealth.com/privacy policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMensHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
Lens Enterprises reminds parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Text behind the wheel or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or rideshare for a safe ride home. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Lens Enterprises, providing sustainable solutions for landscapes, farms, and gardens since 1976. Online at lens-enterprises.com.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
They say teachers don't impact for a year, but for a lifetime. Hi, this is Rick Riz. Join WSECU, your local credit union, as we celebrate those who give so much with the Teacher of the Week program. Nominate a teacher you feel has changed a life in our community. Each week throughout the season, we'll honor one teacher with a $500 grant, courtesy of WSECU. Teachers are the real MVPs. Find out more and nominate a teacher at mynorthwest.com/teacher.
LeeJohnson.com is a dynamic research tool.
We want to give the customer enough information to where they don't have to go anywhere else to research any of the questions they have. And if they want more information, we'd love to be there to help. We don't want them to feel like they're dependent on emailing us or texting us or calling us just to get the information they need. So we put it all out there. We call them digital retailing tools, big fancy calculators where you can get in there and change the terms and change the payments and change the cash down. And it'll give you a disclosure of, hey, when you do this, this means here. And a consumer can get on there and do a lot of this themselves. And then if they choose to get us involved, we can actually get involved on the backside of it and help them along the way. We want to give the consumer the same tools that we have and let them understand what we understand.
Yup, that's pretty much what you'd expect. The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Pacific Power Batteries understands batteries for golfers, batteries for your car, your golf cart, and your bag's electric cart. We also sell good, used, 5-year-old E-Z-Go and Yamaha golf carts with a written satisfaction guarantee starting as low as $17.99. Located in Everett, Marysville, Mount Vernon, Bellingham, Monroe, and Wenatchee, you'll find our staff is well-trained in batteries and the latest charging technology. Pacific Power Batteries, with batteries for golfers.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Get your questions in for What I Need to Know, 866-979-3776. A question that I have for all of us, inspired by a conversation happening in the control room while we were in break. If you had a horse in this year's Kentucky Derby, what would you name it?
I can't say the name that I told you guys, but
I think you should.
I would name it.
Think of a slightly less inappropriate one.
I would name it Bet You Can't Do It Like Me.
Okay.
Bet You Can't Do It Like Me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'll name it.
Curtis, Matt?
To the crown.
Something about being left-handed. Left-hooved.
Matthew, the Galaxy Galactic Master Trasher.
Galaxy Galactic Master Trasher.
Yes, that's exactly what Matt was going to say.
It basically
Nerd.
is. Because the one that I came up with was Perdition's Flame, which is a reference to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I'm so sorry.
I know my best friend.
I know my best friend.
I wish there was a locker we could shove you in back there.
I deserve it. Like, I really do.
Hey, Matt, give me your lunch money.
What about a horse that's only funny for one person on the planet? Like if we named our horse as a show, like Curtis Rogers is the worst, and everyone's like, we don't get it at all. And we're like, no, only Curtis Rogers is the only person on the planet who thinks this is funny.
There's only one name your horse could be.
What?
Hers Crazy.
Hers Crazy.
That's still, I have an issue with Willa. I can't believe that I'm beefing with a 3-year-old. Is she 3 or 4?
She'll be 4 in 10 days.
Okay, well.
It's on site.
Guess what? It's on site.
I mean, sometimes the truth hurts.
Someone said Polanco's back.
Polanco's bad. That's a cool name.
Okay.
Polanco's bad.
866-979-3776. What I need to know. Let's see. Let me get to. Stop sending in horse names unless they're funny. 866-979-3776. What I need to know. Where'd the Marine Layer go?
With the way the world spins and the axis tilts, the weather changes, and with that, the marine layer slowly disappears, and the sun shines like it is on May 2nd.
You do it. Let's see. That's Bump and I's official answer. No, I have no idea. This is a team that has, not for the first time, started out with a hot April. They've done that before. But we also know that there's scientific. I know people see the marine layer as an excuse, and it is an excuse if you're using it to explain away all of your offensive issues. Then you're using it as an excuse. If you're saying the marine layer and several parks about T-Mobile can suppress offense, there's data to back that up.
Yeah.
Science. So I don't know what happened to it.
We call it data.
Yeah. Maybe global warming, low-key. Great news for the Mariners. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe we keep the CO2 going.
Global warming's not real, Stacy.
If it means the Mariners are hitting bombs, then get your straws.
Keep flying those jets.
That's what I have to say about it. Let's see. Bump, does LeBron retire now that he was able to play alongside his son, or does he run it back for another year?
He'll run it back. He's in too good of a shape, man. He's still, in my opinion, a top 10 player in the game. And, yeah, he's dropping 25 a game at 40. He's still playing.
Yeah. What I need to know, with CBA restrictions being what they are, is there any way Travis Hunter can attend wide receiver and DB meetings?
I don't know if the CBA has anything to do with that. I think it's just the timing of everything. No, it's going to be tough unless he split them up, like half and half, or this day with Whitehouse this day for DBs.
866-979-3776. What I need to know. I just listened to G. Scott disapproving of Brady's mustache. Are mustaches cool or not cool?
Where's Brady? Oh,
Brady
Henderson?
Not Brady Robick. If Brady Robick had a mustache.
Yeah, that would be like, I didn't know he can grow a mustache. Brady Robick. Mustaches are cool, man. It's just, here it is, man. Can we be honest with each other?
Yeah.
All right. You look like law enforcement if you just have a mustache.
We knew that you would say that. We said that this morning.
Yeah. If you just have a mustache.
Yes.
You the police.
Yeah.
You are even a fire. And handlebars are firefighters. Firefighters have the handlebars. So, I mean, if you want to be perceived a certain way, go for it. I have no problem with it.
Yeah, and if you're like, what's wrong with cops? That's not what Bump's saying.
Nah,
what Bump's saying is you look like a cop with a mustache. That's it. I think that you look like a cop, or you look a little bit like Curtis. I liked your comparison for Brady being like you are a 1992 journalist working at the Boston Globe, about to make this story explode.
Loosened up,
yeah, something about you is a little like
cigarette,
yeah. Let's
gotta
see.
make deadline.
866-979-3776. What are you cooking for the first barbecue party of the season?
First one. Same old, good old hamburgers. All beef hot dogs.
Yeah.
Probably throw some carne asada on there too. Yeah.
I think ribs are ambitious for me, but when they're done well, I can appreciate. That's more of a smoker, though, right?
Yeah, the ribs take some time, man.
What I need to know, it's my 39th birthday today.
Happy
From
birthday.
Casey in Vancouver. Happy birthday, Casey. Holler, Casey says about himself. Need to know if the Mariners will have won the AL West again before I turn 40.
So you mean this year?
Mm-hmm.
According to the national experts, it's their division to lose. So I guess we can bank on that.
What I need to know, Bump, what UDFA on the Seahawks are you following? That was a 4 down.
It was what do you call it? I did it nationally. UDFA am I following for the Seahawks?
Or you could do a position group. Like, where are you looking for some UDFA help?
Interior linebacker. They got 3 on the roster. You know what? I'll make this a 4 down on Monday. I'll focus just on Seahawks UDFAs.
Let's see what I need to know. Bump, it seems like a long climb, but what do my Portland Trailblazers need to do to be playoff contenders again? Bump! Wow.
They need about 2 to 3 more superstar players.
Oh, man. You know what you need to do? Never traded Dame Dollar and get him some help 4 years ago.
Oh, no. Someone said LeBron's never winning again. Hasn't played defense in a decade.
Oh, sounds like somebody who's mad the Sonics ain't here.
Someone said bumpin' Stinky. Get her, Willow. I like that they called her Willow, though.
We get that a lot. It's Willa with an A at the end.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Given that I currently have a fight going on with Willa, I'll accept it. It's tough because she's so cute. You know what I mean?
She's very adorable.
So she's like one of the cutest babies and later children that I've ever seen. And it's hard to fight with her because she's just adorable. But she started it.
That's kind of how it usually goes with her.
But also important to note that Willa's parents tell her daily and have since she was an infant that I wear diapers. It's important for me to say this on air for the record that Curtis and Brenna tell Willa that I'm basically another baby.
Yep.
And that I wear
That's
diapers.
Stinky Stacy.
Don't you guys
there.
use me as an example of you don't want to be like Stinky Stacy, you need to take a bath. So I'm the bad example for Willa.
Hey, if it gets the house in order,
hateful.
if we're able to accomplish our tasks, it's effective parenting is what it is.
It's just hateful. What I need to know, you get either a guaranteed $1 million. Oh my God, I can't even read this. Or for $100 million, you get 72 holes to beat Tiger in his prime at one hole. Okay,
No,
what are you taking?
one hole?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him one. Yeah, give me
you
that.
get 72.
I'm gonna get him one.
That's a whole weekend.
Okay, so you'll forego a guaranteed $1 million.
Yeah.
And instead try to get $100 million by getting Tiger.
I'll get him one hole.
Okay.
Prime Tiger.
That'll do it for us. Again, if you missed Buster Olney's interview, it was fantastic. It'll be kicking off hour 3 of the Bump and Stacy podcast. We also had Fox Sports NFC West reporter Eric Williams talking about Russell Wilson's Hall of Fame candidacy. Well, not candidacy. It's not there yet, but about Russell Wilson and an NFC West outlook on in hour 2. Wyman and Bob coming your way next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Nick Ebenwari is with us. Nick, how are you, man?
Super blessed, super grateful, but I feel like I should have gone a little sooner, but I landed in the right spot ultimately. Had a great connection with them, so I'm glad I ended up going to the Seahawks. But in my notes, in my phone, I kind of had an NFL, it's personal list. So it's a funny thing I for myself.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Friends of Waterfront Park is announcing the Meet Me at Waterfront Park 5K on May 31st. Kick off a season of celebrations leading up to the grand opening of Waterfront Park with this all-abilities race. Experience Seattle's reimagined waterfront and be a part of history with this first ever 5K at Waterfront Park. Presented by Brooks Running, Seattle's new Waterfront Park is being built for you. Come and enjoy it. 5K registration and full schedule of events at waterfrontparkseattle.org. Brought to you by Friends of Waterfront Park.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner, right here in Seattle. With $215 billion in business loans and over 3,700 business specialists across the nation, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more